Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Pro League. We are in week number 3. This is Playday number 3, of course. Starting off with North America. I'm Rassan Milos, thematic finish. Of course, with me is, well, we won't call you illustrious this time, the ever so dashing
Ooh,
Devin Enzo Becker.
what a vocabulary in this one.
Yes, that's basically most of the job. It's just peering into words. But let's try and call down the words as much as possible today, Devin, because today we have our second matchup for our first group, Group A. And of course, we are starting off with EG versus Space Station. Of course, EG beating Ronin 2-0 handily last week, I believe. Only 3 rounds won by Ronin. Total 10-3 for EG. And, well, with match 2, of course, it was old era Eternity. They're no longer with the organization. Now they're on their own until something soon TM happening, apparently.
Yeah.
Space Station able to beat them out 2-1. And of course, that means that Space Station move on to play against Evil Geniuses in the winners match. And in the losers match, of course, it is Ronin versus Soon TM. That is for Group A. And as we hop in and take a look at the second group that happened last week, to just recap the incredible week.
For those of you who saw about half of it, we had Rogue versus CLG that I would say went very much in favor of Rogue. 2-0 definitely highlights it. It was very strong performance for them, despite their new pickup not performing, I suppose, up to expectations, but he was someone who'd formerly been on CLG, so that was interesting to see, as CLG unfortunately did not do so great against them. SK and Mouse Sports, though, I think was a little more interesting in terms of not knowing how that was going to go. SK formerly Flipside previously, Mouse Sports formerly Bird University, both those teams going at it. But a 2-0, I think we were expecting more of a 2-1. Nonetheless, though, SK are showing strong.
They were very decisive in a lot of their moves, that is for sure. But that aside, we have to get ready for our matches for today. Of course, we start off with Evil Geniuses. Going to be playing against Space Station Gaming. SSG, honestly, they have been surprising in how pretty good they've been handling the whole setup here in Pro League. So
yeah, it's been I think tricky for some teams to adapt to the current setup, current, as we like to call it, as everyone knows, meta. But SSG's given it a shot.
Yeah, we'll see how they can fare up here against their opponents, EG. So let's start off with our interviews. Of course, in front of us is waiting the one and only, the Woo Man himself. It's our version of Ric Flair. It's Troy Canadian Yarovlowski. Good evening, Troy.
Evening. How you guys doing?
We're pretty good. We were definitely impressed by what you guys did last week, a 10-3 victory. That's pretty good. But to start off with the questions, one of them might be a bit technical. I remember that one round where you guys played on Oregon. We saw a quick rush from your opponents and just went all the way down as they saw that the basement was completely open. And then that was a complete shutout round for you guys. What happened with the team communication at that point?
Honestly, we kind of saw a rush coming. We said before the round, like, they're getting frustrated right now. Like, they haven't been able to win any rounds. Like all the sites, attacking and defense, they haven't been able to win rounds. So we figured, like, they're probably going to get cheesy on us to try to beat us a different way because, like, obviously going head-to-head with strats wasn't working. Mm-hmm. So we were expecting a quick rush. Initially, we were thinking construction. And I was upstairs killing drones, and I saw they opened front door, like, immediately, and they called Alliance. So I was like, they're rushing laundry. And instead of rotating back through meeting, I rotated down to the front door and died. And basically, once I died, I think it was just problematic to, like, kind of recover the site and whatnot. So I think that was on me for rotating the wrong way. But, like, our communication was fine. I think we made the right plays outside of it. But, like, at the end of the day, we lost me really early. And I think, like, Pulse is super important to have live for our lower defense, especially on the laundry side. So I think just losing me was the problem. Our communication was fine, though. It's just I made a poor decision rotating back the wrong way.
That's good. Hopefully, we see corrections around that. Now, the thing that I was having this conversation with Parker earlier, and highlighted that before when you guys were playing in Season 6, which is right before Sao Paulo, you guys were playing your final qualifier game against Most Wanted, which is basically the roster that you're playing against right now. You were playing on Coastline, you were leading 4-1, and then they came back, OT'd, but you were eventually able to beat them at the end. Were there any major changes from that Coastline matchup for you guys? Like, if you now had to play Coastline, which is becoming more and more of a regular map in Pro League, would there be major changes compared to before or to 6 Invitational with the meta as well?
I mean, obviously we have a different coastline. Like that was 2 seasons ago. I think our coastline changed immediately after that. I think the next week we played Infamy on coastline, and we had completely different setups. So I think obviously our coastline has completely changed, and from there it even changed at Invite when we played against Penta, and like it's changed again. So obviously we're refreshing our maps. Like we're staying up to date, making sure that we don't have stale stuff.
Yeah, and we've seen other teams, especially that have like tried to shoehorn Lion in, but unfortunately weren't really able to capture the final stages of them, like how to actually play in coordination with the team. But that's something we're looking forward to seeing you guys doing. We'd like to say any final closing words to any fans or anybody watching here, Troy.
Just a quick woo as always. That's about it.
Thank you very much, Troy, and good luck with your game.
Thank you.
I feel for his microphone.
Very confident, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's good though. The confidence is so important in this game. I think that is the way to go about it. Absolutely, and I mean it got them so close there.
With this team, would you not be confident? Come on, let's be honest. Necrox, Canadian, Young, NVK, and BC, arguably the best lineup that you would ever want to have for a North American team ever.
The classics for sure. Definitely between this team and Rogue, a lot of the players going back very far into year one. Just a lot of experience on the team, a lot of strats, a lot of these guys being friends, something that Canadians pointed out a lot as well, is their friendship and their synergy they have together is something that also is more than just a lineup in terms of stats and things like that. It's really how a team gels, and a team like this has just been playing off that strength for quite a while now.
All right, so now we get ready to take a look at their opponents and to see who is sitting ahead of us. It is, of course, Redeemer from we'll see what they have, because Redeemer has been extremely impressive with the Echo plays.
His chance to redeem the dream here.
I just want to like pick his mind, see how he thinks at that highest level of Echo play, because as you said, literally the best player in North America on Echo. So let's go in and have a quick talk with Redeemer.
That was
there. You go. All right. Hello, Taylor. Hello, Redeemer. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing?
We're pretty good. Honestly, after seeing your plays on Echo and especially your clutch from last week, my God, I was pretty happy. Now, okay. I've been known to criticize Echo plays at times because this is an EU mindset of, but Echo's a technical operator. You mostly will have him playing back, and he'll only need support from his teammates. Without them, he can't really do it. Well, when you were defending on Oregon, and you made it back in a 2v1, where you were still bouncing around the yokai, what was going through your mind? Walk me through the mindset of, as Devin was saying, the best Echo in NA.
Well, if you go back and watch the casting, right before I actually start engaging in a battle, you see, I think what someone says that Echo is not really that good in a 2v1 situation.
Guilty as charged.
And I, you know what? At first, I would agree with you, but since I've been playing Echo so much, I wouldn't want any other operator in a close situation but Echo. I mean, I knew exactly where the guy was at Bins when he planted, so I knew I was going to get that kill, and I just utilized my Echo drone. I knew where he was. I kind of knew the area that he was, and with the time and pressure on my side, I decided to take a risk and go for it, and ended up getting that diffuse plan off.
Were you surprised that even with the yokai bouncing and it was bouncing in front of your opponents, nobody shot it really, because it was in their point of view?
Yeah, no, I was taking a risk. I like launching the drone up through that hatch just to kind of get info and intel, and that's kind of how I use my drone. I knew where he was. I knew that there was a lot of time left to get the diffuse off, and I decided instead of going up the stairs and hunting him down, I was going to take the risk and get the diffuse off and go on to the next map. That's exactly what happened. So I got really lucky. There was a little bit of luck involved in there, but came out with the dub on that map. So really excited.
Definitely one of the highlight plays of that week, that's for sure. And, second question would be, you guys are going up against what a lot of people believe to be the best North American team, second best team in the world now officially. What does it take to prepare mentally and physically for this? Because it must be a daunting task.
I mean, I'm really excited to have this matchup again. We played them last season. We were the only team to take a map off of them. So it shows me that we're capable of getting another win. But you're right, this team's a powerhouse. But if you want to be one of the best, you got to compete against the best. And EG is is one of the best teams in the world. So it's not going to be easy. There's no sleeping, but we're going to come out swinging, and hopefully we have a good match.
Hopefully so. Anything you would like to add to any fans that are watching right now?
I just want to say thank you guys for just supporting us, supporting my team, supporting me, and holding us down. And good luck to EG, and let's put on a show.
Well, good luck to you, Redeemer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one.
All right, that's the kind of mindset I'm looking for. This is a team that confident in their plays, but
coming
not
out swinging, as he puts it. So hopefully we will see, as the team consists of Thinking Nate, Trippin, Dave with 2 A's, Chala and Redeemer, who you just spoke to. Unfortunately, King Leo no longer on the team. If you didn't catch that last week or 2 weeks ago to find that out, he did need to retire for a bit. So they are still kind of catching up a little bit. But Dave is not necessarily new to the team. He's just kind of bounced in and out a little bit. So they are
a player to highlight as well, outside of Redeemer, of course, is Chala. Chala has always been a pretty darn good player, and
Same
now
with Thinking Nate, I think
one of
they
the
have a
older
good lineup, but
one of the older guard of NA Pro League, that's for sure. So
yeah.
In total, the roster definitely has a lot of strong players for the region. It's just how will they mesh together playing against a team that has been wanting for months to play together, and after they have played so much together over the past 6 months.
Well, we'll see how they do it, because new meta, new games.
Yep.
The first time playing against EG this season. So.
And speaking about meta, let's take a look at our picks for the operators so far. You know what? As you said before, it's a usual joke. King Leo might not be here, but Lion's definitely on top for NA.
Yeah.
100% for Lion, not surprising at all. Habana at 77, Thermite at 45, Thatcher and Blitz trailing 40.9, and then Blitz on 24.2. You'd have to imagine that all the other operators are around the 20 mark.
And which is
or
very
if you're Tachanka,
low.
you're 0.
Yeah, it speaks to the diversity, though, of attack strats in this case. And in terms of utility, what people feel like they need. You can see clearly here, hard breaching is something that people are finding a little bit important in the current setup, just because, yeah, you've got the line, you can get intel, but if you can't open up walls, that's lines of sight you can't take advantage of on attacking them. And I think the attackers feel like they need some flexibility on how they want to approach the site. Not to mention, you can pinch a lot more effectively if you could open up both hatches and walls. So we're definitely seeing some utility there. Of course, Thatcher is going to be a big part of that as well, because, with Bandit being picked and Mute actually being a much bigger pick.
Yes.
Yeah, that brings Thatcher in, not to mention the trap operators like Legion coming up. So we'll see defending operators to see what they're going to be countering. With Mira and Smoke there, unfortunately, Thatcher doesn't directly counter those necessarily, but definitely Pulse and Legion and Jaeger are all going to be countered by those EMPs.
Yeah, a lot of the operator picks and the way that a team is built with their operators, it varies from region to region. We've seen even specific teams like Vitality, for example, not even utilizing a Thatcher at all, which is something that boggled our mind and almost drove Kickstarter insane.
Well, with a region like Latin America, for example, you have people like Astro that could just main Twitch just well enough to not necessarily need a Legion, but
Twitch in general has not been played that much at all. We've always been seeing Twitch in the top 5 for attackers. Not this time. A lot of people are like, you know what, we can just do the Thatcher, or we can use a Habana, take down a Miro window, and that's it. We don't really need to worry about it. That's why you bring the double hard breach. That's the way we see the Thermite as well picked so highly compared to the rest as well, because you can do so much with them, and you can just eliminate the Miro windows. Not too much trouble. But let's take a look at our picks and bans to see which maps we're going to be playing on tonight for our first matchup.
So Bank going out, that seems like a smart move by Space Station. Take that off the board as early as possible, because Evil Geniuses have a pretty good bank. You don't want to be playing them on that. Interesting to see Evil Geniuses, though, after you talking to Troy about Coastline, deciding not necessarily wanting to take this team on, and that's, of course, good idea.
That's the only map they lost,
well.
and after maybe playing Penta in that final, they weren't really too happy with it, but I'm pretty sure they would have some tricks up their sleeves. Space Station leaving Clubhouse for EG, and notorious EG have been on Clubhouse. Of course, Cafe Dostoyevsky, we've been seeing quite a bit of Cafe EU and NA, so I'm not surprised seeing it here. 33% total pick rate for North America, and our decider will be Border. We saw Cafe twice last week, and twice it was our second map.
It's been a lot of the maps in the current setup, in the current pool are leaning more attacker sided, and there are some that are a little more balanced. Cafe is one that's a little more balanced or a little more defender sided, and I think it's safer if you're not necessarily as comfortable in countering the current attack strategies to pick a map that's more defense-sided. That's not to say that's the only thing that goes through their minds, but that is something where we're seeing maps like Oregon, as I've said a couple times now, falling out of favor. This is, in theory, this matchup should have included Oregon, you'd think, just based off of week 1, but teams are just realizing after that first week of seeing it that not such a great idea anymore.
I'm surprised that they let slip our first map. It's going to be played. So we'll see what happens on Clubhouse. But before that, let's take a look at what you guys voted on Twitter. Of course, you can check it out at ESL Rainbow 6. And I wonder who'll have the edge. Not surprising at all. EG with 86% to Space Station's 14%. Of course, if you guys would like to vote, make sure you're going at ESL Rainbow 6. First of all, 100% you should give it a follow because you can keep up with all the ESL tournaments on there, not only with Pro League, but also with Challenger League and with the Go4s and Community Cups, because there's so many places for you guys to play and so much Rainbow Six
and it's only
to
going to
watch.
get more.
Yep, that's
really.
We're gonna get a lot more content coming up, but also you can vote on these matchups.
So that way we get those underdogs getting some percentages, right? Otherwise, it's all EG votes from their fans.
We want to hear what you guys have to say. That is for sure. But we're getting ready for a matchup, so let's wind things down. Maybe they're opening up a bit too much with our first matchup here, going in probably EG's favor. We'll see what's set for our first matchup on the Clubhouse. So let's head on in there. And Devin.
Yeah, this is one that has definitely been tricky lately in terms of figuring out how to play it. We have some teams that are willing to still bring blitz and things like that. Some teams that are just going to go with more line strats. Canadian bringing out IQ, for example, should be interesting. It's going to be a good counter to Trippin's Pulse. We see, for example, Para do from 1UP, when he would actually floor bang with the pistol right onto the Pulse, because there's a good chance that Pulse is going to be playing down an Armory, which of course they're going to start on because, well, Bar is just way too unreliable. Even with the current ability to roam a little bit. So no one's going to be bringing something like a Vigil, which we still may see at some point. A Vigil roam is probably the only roam we've seen somewhat work on this map.
We've seen, yeah, that is very true. And we had one that was staying up in the office upstairs, and that was a really odd engagement where we had like 2 players dying to the Vigil.
It's a little troublesome because you get cornered up there, for example. So it's a situation where you can burn some time. And we did see back at Invitationals, Canadian playing Vigil upstairs. I think it was on a bar attack. Yeah, it was on bar attack, and it was the final round that Rogue almost were able to win to take the win home. And it was down to just Vigil play being really smart upstairs, really delaying them out. So stuff like that could definitely work. But first round, we're not going to see it. We are going to see Elysian, though, as we were saying, is a high pick rate now. He's definitely been a lot more useful in the current information economy, as they call it, especially with Lion being a lot of information for the attackers, putting the defenders at a disadvantage. And, of course, Canadian, ever the information monger, usually playing Pulse, going to be doing the same thing for IQ for gadgets instead of people.
Yeah, and we've seen that on Cafe, for example, where having the IQ can really help you detect where the Pulse is standing, and as you mentioned that before, you can floor bang, you can set up a lot of things here with the rest of the team just to try and figure out where he's at, where are all the cameras, where's everything that's been set up by the Valkyrie. We can just eliminate everything, make sure that they have no information, and then we actually get into the building.
I like this because you don't see that super often where they take advantage of. This is a bomb site and a map where a lot of times you can get control of the top 2 floors and keep that control. So taking advantage of that extra time to just clear everything out is a nice use of that extra utility that you have there, because it is normally risky to use that gadget indoors in many maps. This is the one map that, in that sense, is an exception, and take advantage of it.
The different part, of course, is that we have Necrox that's playing on the glass, but we don't have a Ying. But there we go. Young will get the first kill, and that's the kill on the Legion. Now they won't have to worry about too many traps. There's probably still a couple that are lying around here near the B site, probably just below the hatch. But so far, so good for EG. But again, no Ying, and that's something we've been used to so much, especially looking at 6 Invitation. Oh, nice flick from NVK. He'll get the shot on Dave, and that's a Bandit now taken out. Big part of the fragging up close. That's been eliminated. NVK looking for more kills here as Necrox is coming in. They'll go in for the 1v1. And no, the grenade from Canadian bounces right into NVK.
My goodness.
Oh my god, no. BC now has to play Lion here to use the E1D, and he'll get the kill on Trippin as immediately aims down sight. Now they have to recover the Diffuser, but Young will get one on Cha. That's still thinking Nate alive and is holding right on Church. He'll open fire. They don't know where he is at. They can't even pop the E1D just to push in. Right at the end there, they'll be able to get the kill, and Young cleans him up with the Hibana. A bit of a frag fest, but ultimately it all started with losing the Legion, but that TK grenade.
You know, that's why it was probably better when Canadian was playing Jackal for a while instead. It was a lot safer as he didn't have the ability to frag his teammates, as Nadian, as we like to call him, going back all the way to year 1. Quite good at that. But nonetheless, easy round for them in terms of snowballing that Legion kill, as you put it. It was a somewhat of a predictable attack strat in that this is pretty much the same one they've been using. Necrox coming down blue, pushing through Moto like that. I mean, the difference, the real change-up, I would say, was Canadian playing IQ instead of Jackal, a different information operator, but still trying to change things up a little bit. But as I said, we saw that kind of backfired slightly. Did get a lot of utility off the board early on, though, and NVK going to be playing that Vigil, so we may see some roam here.
Yeah, BC's playing the Legion here, and we'll see Canadian even on the Bandit. Not usually something you'll have. However, I'm interested in seeing how NVK sets up for this, because you can play in Garage. If you set up your rotation holes as well with the impact nades, you can definitely take control of the entirety of that top floor just with a couple of impacts.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if you go for the old rotate between the office and cash room, that gets a little obvious to see. You have to do it very quickly and get across before you get spotted. So it is something that's possible, but it's not easy to pull off well without having the right timing.
It really relies on information.
Absolutely, and we're going to see a similar lineup from Space Station that we saw from Geniuses. The big difference is Redeemer is much more comfortable on that Blackbeard than on Glass. So he's going to be changing that up for what Necrox was doing. Might still go for a similar approach by pushing the blue tunnel from Garage. Not sure, but then we're going to have the Thermite here as well. Try and open up. He looks like he's going to open up that dirt tunnel, so the question is who's going to push that, or is it just Trippin going to do it himself? A lot of times you open up for someone else to push, but we have seen a lot of Thermites try and make that trek. But you're up against Necrox on smoke. That's not an easy battle to win.
Honestly, I would be happier using the Thermite to do that kind of work in this sort of situation rather than a Blackbeard, because a Blackbeard can just be a watcher that's sitting down and, you know, maybe taking control of the hallway.
The upside, though, is there's a lot of tight, small angles that he could peek through with the shield. And take advantage of those, because then you can only counter them back through that tight angle and hit the shield, not expose the rest of his body.
No, you are facing Necrox, so it depends on how you'd like to pinch him. Maybe using the kitchen hatch to try and force him out of their tunnel, and then maybe get a kill off of that on him. There's so many things that can be done. It just depends on how he reacts. But Necrox being so calm and collected.
So much, so I imagine he's not going to fall for such easy bait. But they do at least have the kitchen hatch open. Looks like they have some of their hatches open as well. Thinking they trying to use the IQ downward more than Canadian did, and then NVK on this pseudo realm here, halfway up the stairs. A little bit risky, but Chala getting Canadian early. Again, that's a big pick because Canadian has a lot of times the information.
Ooh, Trippin though gets the kill. Bring the Thermite, as he did not push through. He did not push through dirt, and he'll be coming in pretty hot so far. So BC, Young, and Necrox still alive. And BC taking just a bit of damage on the Legion. Dave will pop the first E1D of the match. They've been saving these for quite a bit, but Chala will get one. Young will refrag, and they did open up that mirror window. Unfortunately for Dave, he can't get the kill here, as Young will take down the second. It's still a 1 versus 3, and Young will have to clutch, but he's got so little HP to play with, has to watch the hatch. No Nitro Cell in hand, and here now as an attacker, just drop in from the kitchen hatch and go in for the diffuser plant. Now they come in from behind, and Young might be able to cancel this. No, he will not. Now they're so close angles. They know exactly where he's at, and Thinking Nate finishes him off with the AUG on the IQ. A 1-to-1 so far, and SSG really were able to dismantle this attempt of a roam.
Yeah, and it's a thing where this used to be the bomb site where it was like, if you lose on defense, you're not playing very well. But in the current setup, attackers are winning this a lot, and it's hard to say really who's going to come out ahead just based off of that, because you saw both of them dismantle the other other's defense very quickly, where it turned from like, oh, you know, one person dies to down to a 1v3 clutch. So it's, I mean, either of these teams could really turn it around, but because it's attack wins, we get to see this bomb site repeatedly until someone figures it out, which is always interesting to see those adaptations. So for example, Space Station now going to be bringing a dock. No real change-ups from Evil Geniuses, though, as it worked pretty well. So, again, it's just on the defense to really adapt on this until someone's forced to play bar. And it's, I mean, bar is unreliable in terms of it is difficult to win, but in the current meta, it's almost as difficult sometimes to win the downstairs, just because of the way you could play so aggressively on it and capture so many areas. And I think teams are getting a little bit better at doing pinches on it. We're not seeing a lot of just silly church rushes. And I feel like Moto and Blue have actually become a lot more important than they had sometimes in previous seasons. We're seeing a lot more people push down Blue and pinch from there, and then also drop Moto, the church hatch from the bar, and go down into there, push from a nice pinch angle, because then you get the people in the blue tunnel are usually the ones defending against Moto.
What I'm really interested in seeing is where Thinking Nade will set up, because with that ACOG, there's a couple spots that you can use, especially if you sit on the back of the armory. You can get a quick snipe through the kitchen hatch. There's a tiny angle that you can use to pick off the Habana.
Yeah, there's also ways you can lay down in church as well and get a nice angle up through the hatch also that I've seen used.
So that's a big reason why how it basically, Doc, yeah, kind of has a utility, but it's not, if you look at the track record, the ability itself has not been used that much.
Yeah.
It's mostly the ACOG and the controllability of the MP5 to get one or two picks that the attackers will just not be watching for.
Yeah, getting the hatches open, getting the angles there on that Moto drop. Like we saw before, Canadian doing what he was doing, getting all the intel he can, clearing out all of the default cams as well as anything else that might be laying around, which means a lot of wasted utility, potentially for a Redeemer if he puts his Legion Mines upstairs. You see a lot of, that's probably a lot of them down there right now. There's going to be one down at least. Young getting a kill on a Redeemer, though, is not a good start. As you said before, no more Legion Mines.
Yep.
Makes the Canadians' job that much easier.
Well, at least it's a minute and a half. You know, so they were able to pull out at least, you know, like 4, 5 of these Legion traps that were laid around. But this allows NVK to freely come in from the central stairs and just look down into the armory. He hasn't found anybody yet, but they still have time. Each year just setting up. Young, though, will get dropped right outside, and I think that was the ACOG that was helping out Thinking Nade. He was able to get the frag here. NVK will just drop, and Young will get brought up by his teammates. You see a quick rush in here from NVK as he has to face the SMG-11 and steps into one of these Legion goo mines. Now, 50 seconds on the clock, and the rush might just start in from Evil Geniuses as they pot their first E1D. All teams, well, both teams here have been holding on to the E1D for quite a while. They'll look in for the second one. As you see, Necrox moving in bit by bit. The smoke is going to get popped at the perfect timing here. And that's the E1D that'll slow things down, but Dave will throw in the C4, take down NVK. No more Zofia to be played for EG. Necrox still peeking and trying to find it here. Canadian will nade in and make it happen. Canadian with the second one, that's stripping out of play. He goes in for the plant. Straight up headshot from Necrox. Eliminate Thinking Nade. It's all up to Chala here with the SMG-11 trying to peek into the hallway, but he is spotted, has revealed his position, and while he can't really do much here, no, he can actually. That's Necrox to fall to the floor. Chala with the SMG able to beat out a full-blown DMR as the E1D will get popped. There's barely any time, and look at the crossfire here from Evil Geniuses. Young just immediately cleaning up Chala. And it's interesting that Young is using an angle grip on his Type 89 just to have the much faster ADS because of how aggressive he usually is.
Well, we've been seeing it. He's been getting a lot of kills with both the longer rifle and the SMG. And it's been paying off. I was starting to think, you know, once NVK went off the board that maybe there was a chance they could bring that back a little bit. But if they were able to get NVK and Young down, I would say then they actually have a potential for that round, because that's who's been doing a lot of the work for the team. But then Canadian at least turning a grenade into a kill instead of a friendly this time. It just all started rolling in their favor once they were able to get in. Again, they're doing fairly predictable strats over and over again, but it just seems like Space Station are not able to counter it as well as they would like, because they're getting a lot of good control, they're working the angles smart, and then they're using their utility to maximum effect to get in there. They're using, for example, you saw the grenades going into church, you saw the Zofia grenade blow up the blue wall to make sure that they couldn't hide right there anymore, so that he could push in from Moto potentially a little more safely because he could peek it first. Things like that are really working out, because that's what gave Canadian the ability to push in with that. And they're just playing together really well in terms of eliminating and controlling areas of the map like Moto as soon as they get in there, as well as Blue. Giving up Blue to Necrox is really costing them.
I think that's the thing as well, because you lose the Legion, when he sets up his goo mines, he'll set up the ones further away from the site and then closer and closer.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe you'll see one that's set up in Dirt Tunnel, and then, you know, the rest are going to be set up. Well, they've been leaving Blue out, so the Glass just comes in uncontested in the end, and just Necrox has clear line of fire. Sure, he might not have been getting, you know, like 3-4 kills, but just the fear of having to deal with a Glass that's peeking into you with an E1D, too common.
Yeah, well, I'm glad he was able to get the one pick on the Glass, though, with the Smoke SMG. That was a nice pick. Fortunately, it was the only one he was able to get. Canadian going to be on that pulse, as he's oh so famous for, and this time NVK going to go with something a little safer. He's going to be playing on Jaeger instead of playing that Vigil up the stairs. I mean, I always like the Vigil up the stairs just because it throws them off, but I think maybe it's gotten a little too predictable, and it definitely didn't work out for them last time. As I said, they're going to continue to try change-ups, but we're going to see Space Station, just like Evil Geniuses, no need to change up their attack, as it was clearly working. So one of these teams going to have to figure out this defense. This could be the round we see it change over. Chala, though, making it hard for Necrox. That's the smoke down. That's a good initial push there because that buys them extra time towards the end of the round.
He even uses the side that was opened up. So you see the shotgun hole on the side that was opened up. So he uses that to his advantage right before the hatch opened. So it was a timing. It was basically a timing play.
Yes.
Now Necrox going down. Oh, NVK getting super low. Just the angle. That's exactly what you were talking about. That's why they're bringing the IQ, because you can spot the pulse and wallbang.
Chala with his second kill onto Canadian too. That's two big players off the board here. If they could take down NVK or Young, that would be BC in a very tight spot with low health. But he's fighting an angle here that could come back to bite him if he doesn't continue to watch it. There's a few different angles he has to watch, and they can lay down and see a few different ways to get him. But he has gotten 2 kills so far, so he's done his job. And 3 stun grenades on the board as well, so he could set up for a drop if his teammates could get a position. But Dave's taken a while to do that.
Yeah,
he's going to go for blue.
Yeah, he's got one E1D to play around with. And the Claymore is still going to be set up top here. Has to deal with the Legion that's set in blue. And he's low on HP, has to challenge the Lion. But Dave, very smartly, might just be... Oh, boy. I think Dave's 100% doing this to, like, mind game. With 50 seconds remaining, he'll pull the Legion out of position, and they might just be able to rush in because 2 players are alive and they're low on HP.
They're waiting for that drop, though. Here it comes. Oh, he looks away at the wrong time.
Oh, my God. Chala will nail it. And then the second from Redeemer, the SR-25 of the Blackbeard. Young, last man alive, he'll deny the plant. 30 seconds on the clock. Can't get the second, though, and Redeemer is ready for the SR-25 to go in for the challenge. Space Station Gaming have been able to dismantle EG here. At least they're tying it up versus literally the second best team in the world.
So far, neither of these teams figured out any defensive strats that seem to be working, because again, we're seeing a dismantling like that. Dave, though, did get pretty close, but I got to give it up to Chala, playing it very smart. And then, of course, the timing. NVK looking away just as they drop, as his job was to watch that drop and make sure that when they drop down, he was going to hit the midair. Although hitting 2 of them, trying to get the kill on 2 of them, still might have been a tough task. Nonetheless, it would have been a good start to trying to clutch that back. But again, it was all on Young, as he's the one playing it tight back and making sure he can try and clutch out with a Vector and C4. But he can only get 1 at most before that happens. Young, though, at least on attack, 8 kills. Chala trying to match him there at 7, but a little bit fair in terms of Redeemer picking up 2 versus the rest of...
It's pretty close between both teams overall on the board.
Oh, absolutely.
It's been very similar with the way the attacking rounds have been going for both of them, because it's just like, oh, we'll get 1 or 2 picks, and then the others just are pulled away from their position, just like we saw with the Legion on blue last round. And it's just a complete shutout after that.
Yeah, and we're seeing the Doc on defense again here from Space Station. Oddly enough, they had him reinforcing hatches, which is a slow job for him to be doing, as he's still got 2 barbed wire to place, but I think he feels like he's got enough time to make this work here, as the attack doesn't usually come too quickly because they've got to clear the top 2 floors first. Redeemer setting up a nice deployable shield we've seen sometimes from players to do, to be able to play a little more safely behind the shells because they know they've got to deal with Necrox. The only problem with the deployable shield against the Glaz is he's going to see your little bit of yellow before you see him. And that's a highlight you don't want to happen on you. So they've got to play that smart. I would like to see them find a better way to deal with Glaz in that tunnel and be able to fight that Moto door, because we're seeing time and time again that's where they're having the problem. Yeah, you've got NVK playing this Zofia in the hallway a lot of times and taking shots at those holes in the wall in Armory, but that's not really been the biggest problem. That's more just suppressing fire a little bit at best, taking advantage of that LMG, but no one's really able to contest the other attackers that are coming in, and then it's an easy collapse at that point, really.
It's a fairly wide mirror window hole that's been opened downstairs, so Trippin will have a wide angle into the drop.
There's that counter for the moto drop.
Yeah, and something we've been seeing even EG doing, which is basically only having one reinforcement in the middle that only has a mirror window, and then the 2 others are soft walls that you can bang through.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few setups and some cheeky things that you can do, but when you have to deal with NVK Zofia,
yeah, he's
you
just
can't
gonna
afford to
potentially
do that.
open it up as well. He could just hit that very quickly, and then all of a sudden now you've got an exposed hole on the right side of you, and you're trying to watch the left side. It's going to be very difficult because that's right near the doorway.
And it's easier to pop in your stun grenades through that because you can bounce them with the lifeline.
This is going to backfire on them if they see that opportunity. He looks like he didn't see it just yet, as he didn't look far enough to see that it was potentially soft. But Canadian will. Oh, there we go, taking advantage of it with the grenade. That doesn't connect, unfortunately.
It'll force one out of position as Canadian just whacks away at the barbed wire. You see these smokes hitting up in the back. NVK will drone in and get some information. It's all about watching the angles here. They can push in through the E1D, but there's no drone ready as it pops. And they've been fairly conservative with that E1D. They pop in, they get the information on the mirror. 50 seconds on the clock. And the smoke has started to throw out his canisters, are ready to being thrown in. NVK is just ready to shut in his lifelines. He'll open one in blue, which is what usually been seeing from him. Chalado peeks up, gets one, can't pick up the second. Canadian takes no damage from the shotgun as Necrox peeks in, gets the kill on Dave, and then the E1D is perfectly timed. The drone's in the back, another one from Necrox. He'll eliminate Trippin as Canadian rushes in. 3-speed to try and get a plant down. Thinking Nate gets the information, spots the glass, though can't contest him too well. That's the beauty of having a crouch level mirror window sitting right into blue, but the E1D will pop. Thinking Nade is forced back as well as Redeemer on the leash. Diffuser's been set, of course. Thinking Nade trying to peek, and they have to eliminate this glass, but look at the smart positioning from Necrox. It takes so much time and effort, but from above, it's BC. They've realized we don't have to get aggressive with the Lion. We just need his utility and for him to watch the flank. That's exactly what will happen as Young will land the final kill on Redeemer. Everybody winning on the attack here, Devin.
Yeah, I gotta give it to, again to Chalo because I feel like he's the one trying to pick things up here a little bit. Couldn't land that second kill, and unfortunately that cost him a little bit. But again, not dealing with Necrox. If I was a Redeemer at this point, I would be dedicating every goo mine I have to that blue tunnel and just hoping you just kill him off that alone, or at least slow him down from being able to take shots because he's too busy pulling things out of his feet. I mean, obviously that's difficult to do as you have to do it progressively throughout the round, but nonetheless, that would almost be the most effective thing you could do at this point because you're not able to contest him directly. You saw Dave creeping up way too slow there. The mirror window, though, was a nice change up in terms of having that available to try and counter him, but Glaz just never exposed himself to it at the right time. I do like that you could stand up and have the shot lined up right on the Glaz, and he's not going to be able to do anything about it, but Glaz can easily open up the wall above that mirror window as well and make that hard for you to do because the destruction on his DMR is so high. Young definitely helping this team a lot, but Canadian and Necrox picked it up a little bit that round with Canadians, or Necrox is at least 2K from the glass in the tunnel there. And Space Station need more than just Chala to pick it up here if they want to trade it back and forth.
This is an interesting setup as well. I always like to harp on for mirror windows because I've been mating more and more with Mira, so you know it's been like trying to understand the mentality behind it. Having the middle soft is not, for me, not usually the most efficient way of doing it because look at the angle behind it. You have to stick behind the bomb to actually be protected from any fire going through.
Yeah.
So sometimes you'll make the mistake of just rushing out in front of it and you won't have anything to protect you, and that's when you can have a clear line of sight coming in from the attackers. Then again, the attackers have to get pretty close to the mirror window.
Well, you know what the attacker or the defenders did smart though. BC bringing the castle here, realizing that they're never bringing any real good soft breachers on the attack side. They're either going to have to use X-Kairos or the grenades from Thinking Nade's IQ in order to be able to open that up, unless they want to use something weird like Thermite's breach charges, which would be a huge risk to do, or actually smack them. And I think that was a very smart choice. Just EG always being good at Canadian reading into what the attackers are not bringing and countering it. And I think that was the smart way to go, is just making sure that they're going to really have to work to get that map control of those areas. And again, they're not reading into that as well. They didn't predict that. They're not bringing anyone like a sledge. I mean, the thing Evil Geniuses was doing is bringing the Zofia, and if they'd been doing that same thing on Space Station, they wouldn't be having a problem with those castle barricades. So we'll see how that plays out. This could be the first defensive win here to Evil Geniuses, as they've had enough time to work this out, and I think they've made a smarter adaptation than just bringing a dock.
I like how they're setting up with the castle. They completely cordon off the side motorcycle room, because this means you can't just... The space station, as you said, they're not bringing soft destructors like Zofia all the time. So it means
one nade right there already.
they cannot go through this easily at all. They'll have to lose time by using the frag nades or using important utility that they've been able to force the defenders out of position with. We're here to see a quick spray. Oh, Chala unfortunately can't get the kill. The Bandit, and he already batteried the entirety of that wall. We don't have anything to counter it.
No Thatcher.
So we need to conserve the Kairos. We need to have the frag grenades to push through the castle barricade.
But I mean, no, he was able to sit in Moto safely. And as I say that, that's the concern, though. You can sit in there as safe as they don't read into that and do exactly what Chala just did right there.
Yeah, though NVK will still get the frag and go in for the 1v1, and that's Chala to get the kill, and the Fuser dropped on the floor. That is huge. Now they know where the recovery has to happen from EG. If they can rotate around the Yokai, they can definitely catch them off guard. Redeemer, though, oh no, he's going to lose it here. He's setting up BC. Perfect catch on the Yokai as it is relocating from blue.
That's going to give him an ACOG he can still play with, though, that he's pretty effective on as well. So he's definitely not out of the game yet, and they've got a heck of a clutch here to make it 35 seconds.
Yeah, Young peeking in from Memorial Room. SD Smoke is going to get popped at the 30-second mark. Chala does not have too much of this, though, left. So, Kairos still in hand. Can burn if they need be. Hilbert Young will get the kill on Chala. Nicely done, though. Nicely done from Dave, though. Comes in with the knife. Redeemer and BC will trade kills as well, leaving BC alive. Still has to deal with Redeemer, but Redeemer does not have a Yokai, and he's so far away. He's going to go for the plant. He's going to have an easy time doing it now, setting up for the retake. Redeemer, of course, said in the interview he has the perfect operator that he would like to have for this sort of defense. However, with no Yokai, has to rely on the Mira, and BC spots him, lands the headshot on Trip, and gets the information in the second, and BC clutches it! 2 headshots to clean up, technically 6 players.
I feel like had BC not caught his drone, we could have seen Redeemer win that. Just
100%.
because what we've seen in the past with the Redeemer, he would have been able to get the intel to know that the plant was going down. If not, deny the plant, or at least burn enough time on it that they would have been desperate for that plant and unable to defend themselves. It just so unfortunate, but that was so close. That was by far the closest we've seen to a defensive win so far. And again, it was down to the adaptations we were talking about, which is, you know, oh, we'll put up castle barricades because they have no soft breacher. Oh yeah, well, we'll put up reinforcements because you have soft breachers. It's just, you know, it's again.
Who can mind game who?
Absolutely.
That's the whole thing. Well, we'll see here as EG are 1 round away from taking this first map.
They gave up on the bottom floor.
Yep. SSG can 100% tie this up. Now, obviously, you still have the Blackbeard. He's very, very useful to holding the long angles that you have when you're playing here, but you see reinforcements even coming up in strip. So that might just be a strong position that they hold out for. But again, you have the Thermite. That's why you see them pushing out and taking control, even reinforcing the side here on strip. Means it will set up at least a couple players in.
I mean, it's good, though, because the Space Station is a team that was always bringing the Thermite anyways. So this, I think the switch-up is not necessarily going to be a big problem for them, but I think they might get less utility out of the IQ now, for example, and Canadian really trying to protect themselves. This is a serious strip hold here with NVK playing on that.
All 3 ADS.
They want this room to stay safe. If they read into this and take bar, that would be unfortunate for Evil Geniuses, as they would have to rotate pretty quickly to
when you have a Blackbeard, that is 100% doable.
Absolutely. I mean, a Glaz sometimes a little more viable, but it looks like they're still focused on this side for the moment. But they are rotating a little bit over towards stock side. If they realize there's, I mean, NVK is going to be giving away his position a little bit with that the noise that's going to show up on the drone, because there's nowhere else he could be, because he can't be above or below that room. So they're going to read into him being there, even if they don't catch him literally on the drone. So I don't know if this is going to work out for Evil.
But still, Strip has so many angles where you can set up as a vigil, because you can peek from behind any couch. And well, you know what? MVK just says, I don't even need to worry about that. I can just sit down in the hallway leading into kitchen and just wait until.
Well, now obviously the defense has read someone in this as well. This Canadian is now over on the stock side as well.
Cool.
Takes a little bit of foot damage though.
He'll set up an ADS to protect him here. Unfortunately, does not have a jammer to move around too much.
That's good that he actually grabbed them before he left strip, so that was smart. I took up a little bit of time, I imagine, though.
He takes even more damage as he has to crawl on the ground to rotate back, and that's basically what they're trying to do here. Pinch him out, even pushing from the main doors. He tripping, and the line as well. Dave, they're sitting up in the lounge. They're trying to push. We're at minute 20, and already a smoke has been prematurely used because they need to use it here to slow down the double take of Space Station Gaming. EG want to clean it up here with a win. Now, 1 kill, and Dave will get the second with his Claymore. Unfortunately, he will go down to Necrox's SMG-11. And that's the Lion and the Blackbeard. Huge picks here. We also see Thinking Nate, very low in HP. Trippin and Chala will get a kill each, though MVK and Young are alive. Young will rotate around into the cash room as NVK will go in for the reload. Can't spot anybody from the back, and no, Thinking Nate setting up and waiting for any rotation here. NVK will lose out to Chala, and Space Station will win the attack, and they tie it up 4-4. We're going overtime, and we're on the map that you would think EG would have a huge advantage on.
No matter what they throw at Space Station in terms of defense, Space Station seemed to be able to adapt. They were rotating, exactly as they needed to. Evil Geniuses tried to rotate to counter that, but they didn't have the setup for it because they committed so much setup to that stock site, and that's the big problem with that bomb site, is you have to defend 2 sites so far from each other. You can't really set up in a way that works for both. So we are going to see SSG on the attack again as it's now overtime, and it chose Evil Genius for the defense, which is not a good thing based off what we've seen so far. If what we've seen so far continues, then mathematically Space Station wins. Because they win this attack, Evil Geniuses win the next one, and then Space Station wins the final one. So Evil Geniuses unfortunately got the bad side of the coin toss based off what we've seen so far. NVK actually going to be on Rook this time. They are trying everything.
I'm not surprised, honestly.
Yeah.
This is the thing with EG. When you see them get a bit frustrated, this is when the ACOGs come out.
Yeah, the Doc and the Rook, and that's.
I'm surprised we don't have both Doc and Rook picked by Canadian.
Well, it's not the 6th round yet. Once it's not that way, if Space Station win this one, and then Evil Geniuses win the next one, maybe we'll see Doc brought out for the final one if it gets to that point. But either way, Space Station have put up a heck more fight than I think most people expected, and I think that bodes well for this team, who on their first showing in week 1 actually made a lot of mistakes and weren't performing up to expectations.
But still,
I feel like they've corrected them.
They've still made the win in their first week of play. That was, of course, Playday number 1 for NA.
Yep.
Our first match.
That was a 2-1, and they definitely struggled a bit on that one. So.
Well, here, of course, we would like to remind everybody that Space Station's lineup used to play mostly under Most Wanted before. They were the only team that took out a map off of EG in Season 6. So that was right before the finals in Brazil. So definitely might be a thing. It's not close line this time. This is a strong map for EG here on Clubhouse, so I'm surprised. I'm honestly hyper impressed by the attack.
Very happy, although they're having to use thermite breach charges to open hatches, so that must mean they want some to deal with potentially the mirror window or to open up some other sight lines. That mirror window does have a soft wall next to it, so they could open that up and then really pressure that church side. But nonetheless, we'll see how they actually play it. Redeemer finally going to put his shield on us. Now he's going to actually peek a little more unsafe. But castle barricades are there waiting for him, thanks to BC yet again. Going to call out for Thinking Nate potentially to open those up, or maybe that's what they saved Chala's ex-Kairos for, to be able to open some of those up for his teammate. And that's what he's rotating over to do here. Going to open up at least one of them. Hopefully it's the one he wanted. There we go. Called it out.
Yeah, that's the last Kairos. So open up this doorway coming in from Memorial is like the most important position that EG have been using. A lot of people talk about Kitchen, but so far, this has been the spot.
Yeah, Kitchen has only worked for attempting to drop and for Chala trying to shoot through the floor along with Thinking Nate, but they are trying that again with the extra time that they have in terms of the hatches being open and everything. But I like the double hard breachers has really offered them extra utility they've been taking advantage of here in opening up those castle barricades, but unfortunately for him, he can't land the shots. Wow, Thinking Nate though, and that's Canadian off the board, and that's always a bad sign for you.
Where is Thinking Nate even set up? Is he still outside? He was on the kitchen window?
He's on the counter in the kitchen.
Oh my god.
To look through the floor with the
look at that.
sensor.
It's gone. This is like 300 level IQ play because it goes from, it's only the Havana peeking to literally both players trying to get that pick, and it's been working out so well here. Canadian goes down. Of course, as we said before on the Jaeger, E1D will get popped at the 42nd mark as Chala just looking for another kill. Redeemer has set up in Memorial. Will try to walk straight into Church. Flash will get dropped. So Redeemer just eyeballing it here into yellow. Dave will spray in, take down NVK, 3 versus 5. As so far, it's just a repeat of every single round. Dave will get one more as he drops into blue. Young will get the angle and get the kill, going in for a quick reload. Necrox is low on HP, but we see the diffuser plant. Young will get the kill on Redeemer. He's low on HP as well. Thinking Nade will be forced into the 1v1 that he'll win, and he'll win the second one as well. Thinking Nade bringing it so close per Space Station in round 1 of overtime. One more remains. Maybe Space Station can find a way to lock it down on the defense.
If they win the very first defensive round and then close this map out, that would be extremely impressive. And it would make me question EG's ability to play Clubhouse in the future. I mean, not that that's not to denigrate Space Station. It's more a case of like we expected Evil Geniuses to just really be super strong on this, but neither team has really actually shown any kind of advantage other than I would say Space Station got the closest to winning a defensive round, which makes me think they have the potential to do this. Redeemer is back on the Echo drone. They've got the adjustments I think they need. The question is, can they play them well enough this time? It really came down to Redeemer losing his drone, which is actually a rare thing to happen. So if he can avoid BC getting a pick on it again, or rotating it out in the open like that, I fear for Evil Genius's ability to take this map, and we could see a repeat of at least one map going to Space Station.
Who would have thought that we see EG on the back foot on Clubhouse? And they're trailing. It's 5-4. Young has been doing so much work. NVK unfortunately has not had too much of a great time.
Dave though catching up there with 8 kills.
It's the Lion plays. He's figured out how to play Lion. You don't have to be
if you're replacing King Leo.
Yeah, you don't have to be aggressive when you're playing the Lion.
BC knows that as well, but I think BC's getting a lot less effectiveness out of the gun than David.
I think it's also because we've been seeing Canadian able to peek in and get his work done with
It's true.
the
The other
IQ.
guys are getting it, so there is that factor as well.
It's consistency on the attack for both of our teams, that's for sure. And no one has yet found a way to crack the attackers.
It's funny though, the attackers haven't had to change up what they're doing. They're not even changing it up just to mess with them.
It's literally the same.
They're just, you know what, it's working, and no one's failing or succeeding in stopping it, but we're seeing change-ups every time for the most part on defense, and it's just, again, still not working.
Redeemer back on the Echo. We saw his Yokai drone picked up by BC on the Lion a couple of rounds ago. That's basically what won the round, as well as obviously BC being super good.
He's still set up on the same hatch, though. It's going to be a little more predictable this time. Again, they're using the same attacks over and over, and surprisingly, still working over and over. And he's going to, this is what we see happening time and time again, is the grenades being used by the IQ, but they also have the Sophia, so they can open up a lot more of the castle barricades. It's not really going to do as much for Space Station as it did for Evil Geniuses.
You'll see 3 players even set up in church. We wind down to 1:30 on the clock. SSG can just crack it here and end it right in this round. As so far, EG has not gotten an entry frag. They'll spot at the edge of the weapon here as all 3 players are spotted setting up in the back. Drones will be coming in as well as the E1D as Canadian setting up for his second grenade from below. Chala gets the spray with the SMG-11 and survives. That's the important part, though not for long. Young with the close-up angle here on the kitchen hatch.
This diffuser down in Moto yet again, though.
Oh no, the C4 will miss, and Trippin will have to fall back. They understand where his position is. You see the Yokai drone trying to re-maneuver to help out his teammate. NVK will have at least one Yokai pulse set up right onto him, and NVK will get the spray on Dave. A great double kill here coming out on Space Station. Of course, they did lose Chala, and Necrox nails the shot before Thinking Nade frags him out on the castle. Echo, Redeemer still alive. Can deny things here. There's 30 seconds left on the clock. The E1D will get popped, and they have not found the Yokai drone just yet. There we go. They see it, but the Zofia will get pulled away. Redeemer has to fall back on the site. I believe the Yokai was taken down there, as you see. The Fuser will get set down. Thinking Nade will frag one, but BC, oh, it's a trade! BC and Thinking Nade. Now Redeemer trying to find the close-up angles with his MP5. He can definitely pull the headshots here. We've seen him do this before, and maybe he'll be able to bring it back for Space Station, but there's so little time left on the clock. Young has the angle, lands the headshot. Redeemer goes down, and we're going to go to the final round. As so far, every single attack round has worked. I don't know how EG will play to adapt this.
Now, are they going to play upstairs or downstairs? That's what I want to know. Are they going to try bar again? Because as we've seen, downstairs has been failing far more than bars statistically because we've only seen bar once. Nope.
Rook and Doc.
Back downstairs.
Let's go, Canadian.
Yeah, let's see the Doc brought out by Canadian full tilt.
Maybe we'll have the Jaeger yet again. That's definitely a possibility. They are discussing right now to see what they'll need, and they will need a bandit.
No Jaeger this time. That's an interesting choice. So grenades have definitely been coming out. You've got IQ bringing those. Obviously a lot of flashbangs and smokes as well, things like that. So not
14, Chala and Young
they're just
equilibrium.
going back and forth.
Well, Young is 1 point ahead, but literally 14, 2-6.
Yeah.
Chala and Young are the equilibrium, and I'm not
They're like
surprised.
Nemesi right here. Is that the plural for nemesises?
Nemesis.
Nemesi?
Possibly.
Nonetheless, like, I just love the back and forth between those two. It's just like they are, like, I wouldn't say carrying their teams because the rest of the team's doing pretty good as well, but they are the heavyweights of their team that have the exact same lineup outside of points. Like,
And it's
how did you see
100%.
this?
100% expected. Both
Yeah.
Young and Chala are extremely well known on the
Young is not always top fragging. He's doing a lot of clutching, but we're seeing a lot of clutches where he's having to try and get, and he's always getting at least one kill out of it. So now Canadian setting up the batteries on the window. With, again, the soft wall in the middle. NDK again on the Rook that we didn't see a whole lot out of. He got flashed pretty easily. They're already bumping into each other. That doesn't look good for in terms of them having the confidence to win this. They're having to open up a lot of this wall.
Okay,
a lot of shotguns.
this is the difference here.
Yeah, this is it.
They open all of this, but they deny the one angle that's been used consistently by the Habana to catch up anybody rotating in from church.
Yeah.
And that's a bandit batteried wall. No Thatcher left, and they won't be pushing into the hallway to take down that bandit
That could
battery
be the
until
difference
later in the
everything
round.
right there, because we have seen many kills from there, but that works both ways. They can't use that now to their advantage either. They can't use it to fight a fight. I mean,
honestly,
it hasn't been
it's
working,
fine.
But yeah.
I think it's fine with
Absolutely.
so far how things have been happening for the attackers.
Yeah.
It's okay if you can have that one specific wall
Absolutely.
that's just cannot be open. And you've been seeing, well, the attackers in general, forcing all the thermite chargers out before they expend the Habana.
Well, it's only a minute in, and they've definitely gotten a lot open, so they're doing the job swiftly. No one trying to roam. Maybe that would have been the interesting change-up for Evil Geniuses if they'd thrown a roamer in
Would
there.
you risk it?
Well, I mean, just to catch them off guard, they might get a little overconfident in how fast they're droning this because they're trying to get in, give themselves extra time for the attack based off of just the confidence of knowing, hey, they're not running a roamer. They tried one round and we caught that easily, so they're not going to make that mistake again. But here again, of course, they're forced to expend utility to open up these castle barricades. And I mean, yeah, they're going down, and it's not a huge problem, but forcing them to use an X-Cairo and grenades and things like that to try and open those up is giving them a slight advantage, especially as you pointed out earlier, that one reinforced wall that's now battery jammed as well is going to be a problem for them to try and get angle. Chala trying to play that same safe spot from Freezer to try and get Canadian out. Still, again, not landing the shots, despite, it doesn't matter how many times you mark him with a drone, he's dancing. You're going to have to become his dance partner if you want to make this work. But at least that hold not working against him. Gamer, though, starting things off on BC. That is a good initial kill from the Blackbeard.
A very good frag here. It'll take him out. Unfortunately, we saw BC out of position there, trying to rotate from blue into church. Chala will lose his drone here, but 2 kills coming in from EG. This might be the thing that EG are waiting for. And you see the wall cannot be used. C4 from Canadian as the bandit makes it work. Thinking nade and
so close.
still alive, and the shots just land right next to the bandit sitting down below. But Canadian's already done his work. Drippin has to move in. Necrox nails the headshot. I think this is it, Devin. I think they found a way to break it. That reinforced wall with the bandit battery, that was basically it. Look at that tiny angle that Thinking Nade has to go through. Drops in, and Canadian lands the shot as he drops on the hatch. 15 kills in total there for Young, but Canadian makes it happen. What a close first map. That was too close for comfort, 100%.
I'm afraid if we had infinite overtime, that match might never have ended. That was, I mean, EG drawing the short stick in terms of where they started on overtime. It was definitely dicey. They absolutely had to figure out their defense, or they just lost mathematically. So that was a heck of a match, though. I'm already exhausted, and it's
Bandit
like what
reinforced wall.
happened? Yeah.
Imagine this.
Yeah.
You're watching this as a viewer at home, okay? You're thinking, what sets Pro League apart from anything else? It's this sort of adaptability.
Yeah.
Literally one reinforced wall with a bandit battery shut down everything.
Not to
that the
mention that
attackers can do.
still the Canadian C4, because we hadn't seen Canadian on defense being super effective. He'd mostly just been distracting Chala.
It frustrated
so-
the Habana. Chala could not do anything there because, like, I can't catch anybody on the rotation. Sure, Redeemer got the kill on the castle on BC, but that's one thing. It's definitely not the angle where I can control all the rotations, because when you have Redeemer and Chala set up in the way that they were, you have Redeemer that's set up in the Memorial, where he can catch anybody rotating out of blue and from Church into that. And then the second one would be the Habana, catch anybody rotating through Church into the Armory.
Yeah.
Well, now you only have one of the angles, so people can rotate freely, and that's how we... Well, also, you add Canadian, dancing out. This Saturday Night Life, basically.
Yeah.
And it just ended up in pure victory.
I mean, maybe if they had been able to catch Canadian on that kill, that might have... I mean, obviously, that would have kept one more person alive and been one less person on defense down there. That might have worked out. It might have been a situation where they could have turned that around, because all about that angle to catch them on rotation is partially about getting armory control as well, so that you can drop down safely. Canadian being alive down there makes it so hard to drop down safely, because they know he's there, but they can't fight him on the drop without knowing exactly how to pre-fire it, and he has the advantage because he can move and they can't during a drop. But
All right.
Cafe, we'll see if they can go back and forth like that again. This map, though, I mean, I would have said last map I would have been favoring EG, but also, especially on this map, and now they're going to bring in the Montaigne strats.
All right.
Tanya here. We'll see Redeemer, of course, back on that Echo, though, and thinking Nate on Pulse this time. So this should be interesting. We've got a Sophia and an Ashe, so they're definitely going to be coming in hard and fast with a Lion and a big-ass shield, and then the ability to blow up walls is going to be pretty nutty here in terms of an aggressive attack.
All right, well, we see how they set things up. Of course, I'm a sucker for great Mira setups, so we'll see where Chala sets up his spot. Now, I love this as well from Chala, just opening up the floorboards, because this allows the defenders to play from below. This gives them an angle, a very close angle, but definitely an angle into Skylight.
Well, I like how it's behind the bar, so it's a situation where you could play it a little bit differently. We usually see them setting up more where the barbed wire is, opening up a lot of that
But
floor.
reading room, that's a huge part of defenses. Thank you very much, Marcio, for highlighting this.
Yeah.
That's why they reinforce both walls. We've seen, even in EU, Vitality versus Digital Chaos, that reading room has been important in literally every single site they play. So this might just be something.
Especially when you're playing a Pulse as well. So, I mean, defending that reading room also makes it so you can play a lot more safely down on pillars, which is what a Pulse needs to be able to do. He needs to be able to rotate freely down there. However, that doesn't mean they can't take reading room and then deny that from him, but that's going to make it a lot harder with those reinforcements, as you said, so you can sit here against these walls like this and get a lot more intel a lot safely and use those corners, because, well, they're not going to be down in Bakery for the most part, so you can just pretty much play in there as long as possible first.
It's a lot more difficult to push into reading room as an attacker compared to what you may think, because of the close.
No Habana as well.
Yes, you would have to force the Montaigne to do it, of course, but unfortunately, he's going to be much more pre-equipped to deal with Cigar.
Yeah, his push is going to be there to help take Piano and help make sure that they can get the plant down once they completely control Cigar and Piano. But at least doing some droning versus team first. Now, the Castle Barricade is something we've seen to try and help counter this a little bit, because it makes it a lot slower and harder for them to just push right in to Piano. So that was a good read in terms of Trippin setting that up beforehand. But now, wow, was that an ADS catching that? Because it definitely didn't do anything. It might have just hit the floor instead of hitting the wall. Hard to see for sure exactly what happened, but it definitely did not get that open, and that lets Chala sit so much more safely in there. Feels bad for Canadian.
It hit right down
on the floor, right? Yeah, that little scorch mark there. Unfortunate for Canadian. That is just a slightly missed, a little too fast a push.
Oh, well, smoke is going to get thrown in here to deny any line of sight form of defenders. Of course, this mirror window is excellent, because when you open up the entire wall from Fridge into the piano room, well, there's not really much that you can do as an attacker except for smoking it here. You'll see the yokai being picked up. Just kill from BC. That's Dave out of play on the Jaeger, but that's not the end of the world. They still have the crutch players downstairs that EG might just want to detour around. Redeemer is just going ham on the Montaigne here as NVK holding up the close angle. Spot the mirror. Chala will go down. That's two players now out of play for Space Station.
They're trying to contest this Montaigne now, and that's not going to really work out too well, because he's really just burning up the time.
Go! No!
What?
The trade from Redeemer on NVK. At least it's a trade here. Have to face the castle as Young gets so low on HP. No reinforcements just yet along the outside, but Canadian comes in to save the day. 20 seconds on the clock. And now, if Thinking Nade can make this happen, this will definitely be a round over. He's forced to stay as you see the diffuser being planted. No, the nitro cell is going to get thrown out, but maybe just a bit too late. No, he won't hit it. Young is on top of the
They know how to
bar.
play this. They're not going to fall for what Canadian does to other teams.
Now thinking Nate is all on his own. There's not really much that he can do. And Evil Genius is Canadian just running in. And we'll get the shot with the Ash. That is 101 how to do it. Sure, you can set up with the bar, but because of the E1D timing, if he had moved as the pulse, they would have spotted him and then remaneuvered to place the diffuser in other spot. If they didn't have the E1D up there, then he would have set up in a better position to throw the C4 through the open spot into the bar
It would have been a
itself.
gamble to try and catch it though without getting shot first, because you never know if someone's watching from the skylight, for example. But it's tricky. I mean, it's hard to try and do a move like that through the floor when you know they know if the last person left is pulse exactly what he's going to be doing. Like, there's no guesswork in there. You know he's going to be trying to hit you from below, especially with the Montagna going for the plant, right? Because he's so static. But especially at that low health, it didn't even have to hit him directly. But
And people realize, like, we don't have to push from Cigar into bar anymore because there's always a pulse that's ready for us. We can just go from the side hallway and just rush in with the Monty because it's indestructible forward.
A lot more people are also trying to take control of the top of White Stairs as well and take control of that side of A to make it so no one can rotate behind you if you do decide to plant Cigar. And so by using the Montaigne, they're able to actually hold that control, and no one's really counting them effectively. I like that Redeemer was at least trying to use the Echo Drone, but he wasn't able to follow it up with anything. It wasn't a situation where he knocked Montagna off his shield and then was able to follow it up with a shot, but it was a good try. Canadian going to be trying the same thing on Pulse here, but unfortunately BC drops out. So not sure what happened there. I imagine we'll probably go to rehost, but we'll see.
We'll get the information from our admins.
Yeah, they're going to have to make a call on that because I'm not sure how far into the round that was, so they may have to play this out without BC, which is going to be unfortunate for them. So, let's see.
Unfortunately, Burger King BK is not here.
Nope.
So we can't get the information immediately.
Yep, so they still have a lot of valuable operators left here. NBK going to try that Vigil again, and Canadian going to be on that pulse, so he's going to be there trying to at least give the extra bit of information, which will help his teams out. But with one person short, that's almost like they'd already gotten a kill on him at this point. Plus some setup he might not have been able to do. But they do have a this is basically the exact same lineup that they were using for attacking on Clubhouse. So it's interesting that they're able to maintain that same lineup across maps here. We'll see if it works as well as it did on Clubhouse.
They'll maintain the Montaigne. No, not this round.
Just the Black Moon shield instead. I think that's enough shield for them because it's got a rifle attached to it as opposed to a pistol. Makes it a little more effective in some ways, but not others.
This is
no
a
mirror window here.
It's much more difficult for the attackers to counter this sort of position, but you see the smoke has to open himself up quite a bit, and you see Necrox playing an aggressive smoke. Go in, he'll get one, he'll get two! Necrox, Ahmad, are you kidding me? That's two kills with both headshots, and he turns it into a 4 versus 3. Even with the man down, he can just rotate back and sit behind a reinforced wall. Now the Vigil will get the spot on Chala and force him behind.
Ooh, Canadian.
C4 for 1, and MVK controls. Even with a player down, it looks like EG have this whole site on lockdown. They've learned so much after their game versus Rogue at 6 Invitational. Information is now being sent to EG's. Canadian will fall to Redeemer, but that is only one frag. Under a minute remaining. Of course, with the smoke still alive, Redeemer can basically not do anything, even if he has this diffuser in hand. They can push him out. They can get information with a Vigil. He cannot even drone. There is no time.
Yeah, he's going to be forced into this fast.
He'll run into 2 Legion mines, and he'll get shut down by Necrox, who lands the 3K at the end of the round. And that was a sweet cleanup from EG. They know exactly how to play Cafe.
Yeah, they can walk as quietly as they want, but if you step on a Legion mine, it's pretty loud. Gives you right away. I like that he took off the shield to know he's going to have to make fast engagements there, and that was smart. Unfortunately, it was not enough to be able to do it, as Legion did a great job countering and making sure they knew exactly when and how he was approaching to pre-fire those angles. But I got to chalk a lot of that up to Necrox with that Ballsy
knows
push.
when to be aggressive.
That was it.
That's the thing. That's why when you play against Necrox, you can't really expect him to play the passive smoke that just sits back. And he's not even that aggressive smoke that will always speak you and go
No,
for
he's
a
not like a
1v1
Latin
fight.
American like smoke roam.
He's
like
not
they like
WoG,
to do,
for
but-
example.
yeah.
If you look at how Black Dragons play, where he gets very, very aggressive most of the time, especially on maps like Oregon, for example. But here, Necrox is so smart to combine him with Canadian because they can both give information back and forth. The Pulse can give the information from below, and then it
He sees
allows
when they're stalled
Necrox.
out.
Yeah, he can just capitalize on this, and there you saw. He got the kill on the IQ. And that was both.
And then he
players.
followed it up with a C4 of his own as well. Said, you know what, you got those two. This is fine. Then it'll
can
be
get
easier
one
for me
as
to get.
well.
Yeah. So well played by them, despite, as we said, being a man down. BC disconnecting. Looked like he was having trouble reconnecting. So we are going to wait, I imagine, till he's able to get back on. But that is 2 rounds up for EG. Again, they are. This is a strong map for them, and they are not too happy, I imagine, about how close Clubhouse was. It was almost a map loss for them, but this looks like this could be the end of the road for SSG if they're not able to bring it back.
Yeah, we'll
But,
have to see. With even one player up, weren't able to crack it. But honestly, it's because you can never expect EG to do the exact same thing every single time. There will be minute changes, but the minute changes, as we saw on our last map on Clubhouse, that's basically what wins them the round because you get comfortable with playing against them at some point, and then they pull out the one change.
You've got to shut down whatever part of their strats are working, and they clearly did this round as well. And that was the first defensive win we've seen since their one on Clubhouse that ended it. So they definitely are playing a lot better on defense now, despite being a man down. And because of that, so far SSG haven't shown either of their strats to work attack or defense. But because it's a defensive win, that means they have to rotate sites now. So we'll see if EG can defend downstairs and train, not the next round, but the round after that. So we'll see if SSG can adapt. I imagine they're going to continue to go upstairs, but they're going to have to adapt what they're doing up there.
Yeah, I'm sure EG has quite a few tricks up their sleeves when it comes to countering any sort of bar push.
I imagine they're still going to run the Montagne again because it's not only was it pretty effective, but it was also one that's hard to counter. I think the Castle did a good job of being there, but I mean some of that also was just down to Canadian missing the breach charge, and that could have easily been opened, and he would have been trapped in that room with an Ash just looking right through the window.
And then, of course, Canadian was set up on the wall, and well, on the outside wall, looking through the window. Unfortunately, the Castle was right on the side.
They have to play it quite a bit differently if they want to counter that strat.
It's the tiny differences, but let's see what SSG will bring in here back on their defense as we head back into the game with round number 3. It's Evil Geniuses who are up 2-0 in total.
So Montagne coming at it again, as we said. They're going to be fighting, of course, the top floor once more.
Zofia from NVK has been so successful, I have to say. Commendations.
It's interesting, though, to take the top fragger from last map and put him on Montagne. You know what I mean? You put him on a roll where he's not going to get a lot of fragging, potentially, because it's not like a blitz where he can just melee them, right? Unless he's already dropped his shield down.
But that's not really... If you're going to drop your shield, might as well not play him on top.
Absolutely. So it's interesting to take him off of a fragging roll like that when he's been so hot. In terms of, but I mean, that was last map and he played it differently, but it's just, I don't know, I found an interesting note in terms of that. Redeemer going to drop the Echo. Interesting choice. He's going to go instead with the Legion, but obviously that's going to be there to counter the Montagne. He says, you know what? You want to walk in and all I can do is knock your shield off? Well, then I'll just go ahead and move your feet up and just make this a very uncomfortable place to walk around, because walking is pretty much mostly what Montagne is going to be doing.
I wonder how thick
occasional
those
standing.
goo mine needles are to go in through like heavy army boots.
Yeah, they've got to be fairly fun to walk on, I imagine. But there's some deployable shields coming out as well, so setting up pretty much the same as last time with those castles again. I imagine Canadian probably going to do the same thing, just not miss this time. Would be an easy thing to do. They are setting up a lot of defense down in Reading Room, like we were talking about before, to be able to play there. They're thinking they're going to be on that pulse again. Hopefully this time going to be a little more effective, as trying to stop the defuse was just clearly not going to work because EG were going to read into that easily. But if he's in a position where he can stop, for example, the Monty from below with C4, that's going to be a lot more effective. But we've seen before that people playing below like that, sometimes a mistake where is destructible and where is not. And they get, oh, I see a heartbeat stop, and I go for the C4, and all of a sudden nothing comes out of it. It's not destructible. So you've got to play that smart and thinking Nate's got to know enough of the map to be able to play that effectively to stop Monty.
All right, well, Young will drone in. He's going to set up his drone at the same spot, basically giving them information if somebody's rotating in from the museum on to back of the red stairs. This Young is just hammering in
wow,
the castle barricade.
That's already the thermite down. He had done his job.
Cole, he'll drop the second one as well. Might be even able to finish off the kill here. But no, Young stands in his way. So you know what? You're not going to shoot.
I wonder if he had an impact nade to use as well, because he could have used that for the finish, but nonetheless, that is Canadian with a nice flank here to make sure that he's... Just the timing was too late. Had Canadian gotten there earlier, Trippin would have been in a bad spot. But he's going to rotate around to do what he was doing before, which is trying to clear up that bathroom, and he has done so. Trying to open that mirror window, but he doesn't have an angle on it, so smart placement of that.
Yeah, because usually you'll set up the mirror window a bit much to the right.
Yeah, and then they can just pop it from that window, especially if they're playing like a Blackbeard, but Canadian feels pretty free on that window.
Cool! What is this? Trippin will just go down here.
That's why you didn't let him get picked back up. Now he's gonna punish you for it, starting off with a kill onto the man who downed him in the first place.
A drone will come in here from Canadian, as NVK is looking for his second frag. Around Young is moving in. It's a close-up angle on the mirror window. Canadian will get the kill on Redeemer. They spot the smoke here. Dave trying to get the angle even on the back, and MVK will drop due to the smoke of Dave. He'll pop the second one as well to force them away, and that's even thrown on the outside. Chala will get the kill. At least one that's Canadian out of play. Lion will be forced back as BC.
This is actually falling apart into a 2v3 here with a Montagna as one of the attackers. BC's got a lot of work to do.
Now Young is setting up on the opposite side here as he pushes into the back store, the bar, just trying to find some information. He needs to set up on a more harder surface before he can plant here. That's why you see BC going in for the E1D. He'll drop in, he'll get the kill, but he does not spot the pulse.
Pulse sees him right through the wall.
Oh my God, he sprays right in next to him. But in the meantime, it's enough distraction. Diffuser will be planted as the C4 did not come out from our resident here, Thinking Nade on Pulse. C4 will miss, unfortunately for Thinking Nade. That was so ballsy from BC to drop in and waste so much time. Chala going in for the diffuser, but there's the Monte right in front of him. He can spray as much as he'd like, but with the Monte in position,
no.
The Pulse can't do it. He'll take a picture.
Yeah.
And here's C4 being
that's a
thrown out
picture.
for Thinking Nade. That was the second C4 that they had in hand. BC will get one as they throw right out. There's barely any time remaining. Chala has to decide, does he challenge?
No.
Or does he go for the diffuser? 1v1, Chala will take him out, but there's barely enough time here. He has to tap and tap away, and I don't think he can do this here, Devin. No!
So close!
EG pick up the third round. Too close at the end, saving the second C4. You thought, and we thought, definitely, it was the Pulse's C4. No, it was not. It was the Mira. The end, but Chala just not enough time. Only needed an extra second there.
One more hit. Unfortunate.
It was this close. That opening up the wall with the thermite opened things up so much for Space Station, and they just played the Necrox game. They peeked out, got one kill out of it, dropped the second, couldn't take him out.
Yeah.
Got raised, and then continued the round
Had they
after
been able
that.
to finish off NVK, I think they might have been able to turn that around just based off how close it was. But nonetheless, I think they played that a lot more effectively. However, being 3-0 here, they don't get many more opportunities to continue to refine that. This is no clubhouse in terms of what we saw earlier.
Oh, yes.
So being on 3-0 is not a place that's going to allow you to do really anything other than try and at least win this to get a point back and try and climb your way to overtime before it gets to match point from Evil Geniuses. Because if they win this round, then it's, well, it's a very, very, very difficult spot for SSG to be in against a team like EG. So we'll see. They are setting up again with Canadian on the Pulse. NBK going to be putting batteries on the backside of the dining room. Pretty typical way to do it to make sure that they can't use Habana, for example, to pressure from the other side on White Stairs. And then they got Necrox playing over there, and Young going to be on the smoke for once instead of Necrox, who's actually going to be on Castle, is an interesting choice. And we're actually going to see our first buck. I remember thinking Nate actually being a buck main for a while, so it's interesting to see him back on that.
This setup is so different than what we usually see. Usually you'll see not the entirety of this wall being opened up. That's looking in from Red Stairs into the museum.
That's if you have a lot of confidence in your gunplay.
Yeah, that's basically just, as you say, 100% confidence in what you're doing, because otherwise you would just reinforce one side. That's why you can play that mirror window in that position. However, very, very ballsy positioning here from BC with the help of Young, as now they'll try to burn as much time as possible from SSG.
Now, of course, the change up in the attack strategy, otherwise they're using the exact same attack lineup they've been using previously. The difference is now Thinking Nade's going to be on Buck, because now they're going to be able to potentially take control of the top floor and use that against Train. So they knew Train was going to be the next bomb site, so that change-up was what made sense, right? You bring in someone who's good at Buck to be able to destroy the floor. So it was a smart way to go about it. The question is, the loss of what Thinking Aid was doing on his other operator, will that really adversely affect their attack strats in general that had worked somewhat on Clubhouse, but are now going to be a much different ball game because they're going to be ready for it with Canadian on Pulse. They're not going to let, oh, as I say that, of course, Necrox falls, so there goes the castle.
Oh, and Redeemer gets the second one as well. Open shot on NVK, playing on the Bandit will go down. Young will get spotted below, and you know, hey, it's a normal spot to see him there, but Trippin sprays him through the floor. Lion obviously being used very effectively from Space Station. At this point, it's just basically the Lion winning things out in that final frag. It leaves only Canadian and BC 2 Nitro cells to play with.
2 C4s and a Pulse here. It could change around, but he waits too long to detonate it, and now the Lion's going to make sure he stays put. Unfortunate for them. This is looking very SSG favor, especially he jumps. Oh, he doesn't even catch it. Now he knows he's there, though.
Too close for comfort. It'll spot Redeemer right on the side here, but he barely takes any damage. Dave will get one kill, and BC and Redeemer just sprays through the open wall. And this is why you don't usually see such a hugely opened wall, because, well, of course, you're only left to 2 players at the end versus 5, so that's really the big problem. But
I think that might have been a flawless round for Space Station as well. They came back after
players.
losses and said, you know what, we're just going to decimate them right at the beginning of the round. Obviously not the better bomb site for EG, who seemed to have a decent setup. They just weren't able to execute anyone, and then once the kills started rolling, their setup wasn't able to hold, and that was the problem. They were a little too dependent on a lot of other people playing their positions well and be able to keep top floor control, which they were not able to. However, this is Space Station's chance to prove that they can learn from the mistakes of the past and finally deal with this Montagna. Redeemer again, going to be on the Legion instead of Echo. He's going to be trying to slow them down as much as possible. However, Thinking Aid on this Pulse, I hope he's giving out good intel because he's not been super effective otherwise, although he did provide a nice distraction for the C4 from Mira last time that did take down the Montagna. So not totally useless, but just he was more useful upstairs than down from what we saw. So that's really the big difference now. Will Trippin be able to be as effective as last time? I don't think Canadian's going to let him get away with it, and he may actually play on that window again from behind to make sure that when Necrox opens up that wall, that they're able to make sure that they don't get fired on from the Piano Christmas side. We'll see if they do that, but Thinking Nade's going to be playing down in Train instead of Reading, setting up a little bit of angle for him. That could even be to throw up a C4 onto the ceiling from there, or it could just be for sound. He's going to move over to the dining room instead, check the cameras, see where they're spawning from. Gets the idea where they're at, sees one just before he loses the camera. And that's important. When you're a Pulse, you really want to know where people are spawning from so you can be most effective in terms of catching them as they approach the building. Because if you don't see where they're spawning from, you're just at a guesswork at that point in terms of how many spawns there are and hoping you're on the right side of the building. But they are executing quickly, but surprisingly, starting with the Montagna downstairs this time. Nope. No,
he's going to be going. Yeah, he's
that would have been interesting to play from the stairs, but yeah.
I don't think that's ever going to happen, really. But
that would be a weird idea.
Yes, fairly so. But Young is now set up top, and we'll try to push down just as soon as they have some information. They see the barricaded, that makes the barricaded passes.
Dropping this.
Yeah, but it is a fairly standard position. They'll know that there's somebody that's setting up below. 100% is going to be at least our Pulse, and that's exactly the case here. Canadian trying to challenge. He'll get very close to getting even his. Ubisoft is banned by BattleLite. Nice one.
Well,
that needs to be clipped. That 100% needs to be clipped. But Young will come in on the drone with Montagne as BC on the Lion, still downstairs, trying to push maybe from white stairs. They've realized they don't have to play very aggressively with the Lion. He can stand along the outside of the building if need be at the end. Now, smoke's going to get thrown in. One will deny any information from the first mirror window because they know there's nobody in the bathroom here. NVK has not been able to get the signature frag on the Mira here, but he's lining things up. And he's trying to get him a Thinking Nade from below, surprising them and even doing a bit more damage to Young. Canadian spraying in, but Space Station definitely in the advantage.
Well, finally doing what he needed to do. It would have been nice to get Young off the board, but getting NVK down is very effective for this team. And now Canadian left struggling to try and figure out what just happened and how he can adapt their attack strategy now that their main entry fragger is down. And that was the man backing up Young. Now they're going to be dependent on perhaps Necrox rotating or even BC having to support him. But Thinking Nade is trying to turn that 1K into a 2K, but he's got no more C4. He's going to have to depend on the ump. And BC is trying his best to find him. He pops a Lion and starts pressuring on him. It's going to be hard for him to get out of that spot because there's nowhere else to go, especially with no C4 impact. And that's tripping down as well from Necrox.
Necrox will get at least one. That's not the end of the world. Necrox, even on the Fragmite, gets the second one. Ashala out of play. Mira, thinking Nate has a challenge now. 2 players against him. Necrox will get the third one for himself in the round. They're going all out and fragging, but there's 20 seconds on the clock here, Devin. Still Redeemer and Dave alive. Diffuser is going to get set, but Redeemer can only drop one of them, and then BC will frag the last 2. That's Dave and Redeemer going down thanks to the Montaigne. It just falls in front of Canadian's Ash and saves the day. Look at that spot. Lands the last one, and 4-1 up for the Evil Geniuses.
Well, that looked like it was starting to fall apart there as once they lost NVK, they didn't seem to know what to do, but they were able to finally rotate everyone around, actually have BC and Necrox both on support of the Montaigne, using him to get intel and getting the flanks that they needed to get on those kills. That was a good, smart call out in terms of like, okay, you guys need to support Montaigne now because I need to be doing my thing as well, and we don't have our entry fragger NVK to be able to push with him, but it definitely worked, and it was an unfortunate situation for Space Station because, again, they are not able to kill Montaigne. That has been the big problem. If they were able to kill him, no problem, right? That has been, I would say, the #1 reason we're seeing him pick time and time again because it's just plain working if you can't kill him. But now NVK going to be back on Vigil again. Now that they're going to be upstairs once again as they did play the downstairs, so they can go back up for what could be their final round. Again, Canadian gonna be on that pulse. He's gonna be helping Necrox out, who could go for some aggressive pushes if he wants to with that information yet again. But I don't think Space Station's gonna be caught out droning inside Cigar quite the same way anymore. We'll see. They didn't. They're not castling up that door or anything like that, so they're not gonna give him an easy way to hide in there as well.
Finally,
yeah, the first Thatcher. Yeah.
Holy moly, that is like finally we'll see something to deal with the abundance of traps.
It's going to deal with a couple of things. It's going to deal with Young's Legion Mines. It's going to deal with Canadian on the pulse. If it happens to get there near it, it could potentially get a smoke, but it's that's a rare occurrence, unfortunately.
But they realized that the pulse has been a crutch really for both teams. They're trying to clean things up. Dave, though, gets the first kill, and that's Canadian out of play. You don't even need anything.
They're going to have to learn how to walk without that crutch now. Unfortunate for them, as that is a Canadian saying during the interview, Pulse was an important part of his team's strats and being able to play that effectively. Space Station has effectively blinded a big part of Evil Geniuses here, and now they're going to depend on intel from like a roaming NVK or from Young's Legion Mines.
Now we'll see what level of genius we're talking about here.
An evil level.
An evil level. How many IQ points are we talking about when Space Station eliminate first one, nuke Canadian from orbit?
Yeah, that is unfortunately he didn't see that coming with his pulse heartbeat sensor, but
unfortunately for him. But we'll see what the Lion sets up here for Dave. We've been seeing a lot of plays setting up on that.
Ooh, that's going to be the mirror window going down. Oh, he shoots them all off.
Oh my God, NVK. He
wow. What a counter.
Trippin still has one more Kairos to play with, but he's not going to use it at all.
And there's an impact nade as well if he can't shoot them. Yeah, this is going to be hard for Trippin to do anything about. I don't know what that's going to do for him.
Oh, he runs away. How does he do this? How is he still alive? No. Milcy going in for the 1v1 against the Blackbeard does quite a bit of damage to Redeemer, who is forced out of position for just a bit. They'll detect him with the E1D, but it can't really do too much against him as the Lion just is in not any position to play with. The Habana has dropped in. You see more Legion Mines are being set here. Young will just spray through the bar that is bangable here as Chala gets the kill on Necrox, but the refrag from Young will make this happen. There's still one outside, and I'm thinking nade on the Thatcher. Redeemer low on HP, the headshot from Young! 2v3, and they're watching the windows. They know that they can do this, and it might just be a jump out as Young is just setting up. You see the spray, but the Lion can't actually get, or the Thatcher cannot get the angle to take down Young. The crossfire so close here. E1D will pick up NVK as he comes on in. There's little time remaining as Dave gets the kill on Young. Finally cleans him up, but MVK gets the kill on Thinking Nade. Now, Redeemer is the one with the diffuser, and he is on the other side here.
They've got to plant A. He's going to go for it. He's got cover from Dave, who might still have a Lion left.
He's got the mirror window to play around with here as you see the quick peek in from NVK. Sits up behind the bar, trying to find the angle, but the Blackbeard will peek up.
He has the advantage if he has a shield left to be able
to no, that's what they want. They want to play up top here. As he lands the headshot, Dave will go down, and NVK turns it to a 1v1. Well, Blackbeard has the information, but NVK might be able to rush on into this. Does he hear the Blackbeard maneuvering? Yes, he does. Goes in for the 1v1, and NVK clutches it again. Half HP on the Vigil, 5-1 victory, and Evil Geniuses. What a fantastic play on the defense here from NVK, and they'll win out Cafe Dostoyevsky 5-1 total. What is that clutch? Definitely highlight so far.
That flick
Brent.
up onto the skylight, that was the thing of beauty. That was what saved him for sure, because had he been pressured from up there, he would have been there's nothing he would have been able to do against that Blackbeard trying to fight that at the same time. Obviously didn't help that Redeemer was low on health, so he couldn't push aggressively as he would have liked. And I think he lost both his shields. Pretty sure he lost the first one when NVK shut him in the window, lost the second one when he was trying to fight over the counter. So he had no protection and very low health. So Redeemer had to play it much more cautiously. So everything NVK did that round led up to that moment. From breaking his shield and countering him early on the window to breaking his shield the second time and that flick up on the skylight. It was just all lined up in his favor and then just playing it very smartly at the end there.
Canadian or not,
yeah,
they proved it. NVK, the clutch master, clutch master is back. The plays and the Vigil saves the round for Evil Geniuses, and of course they take their second day here. So the semifinal in the GSL as they move on to the playoffs of our 7th season of Pro League. Now 6-5 on map 1, of course 5-1 on our second Cafe Dostoyevsky. What a fantastic game. But that'll be it for our first one, of course. Coming up, it's both our fantastic teammates ourselves, Michael Kickstar Stock, and of course Parker and Terabang Mackay, who'll be bringing you our second matchup. So we'll be back for that in just a bit.
Attackers recover the bomb. Attackers. Attackers recovered the diffuser. A bomb has been located. We have eyes on the diffuser. Attackers need to protect it. Attackers have recovered the have eyes on the diffuser. Attackers need to protect it.
And welcome back, everybody, to North America Playday number 3. My name is Parker and Terrell Mackay, joined by Michael Kickstar Stockley. And if you missed the ending of that game, then oh boy, you missed out on a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely worth going back and rewatching that NVK clutch to lock it out. That was something incredible. I mean, you know, NVK's been with us for a very long time, and he's shown us some pretty amazing things, but that is definitely going to be at the top of the list of, I think, everyone's favorite NVK plays.
As if he needed something else to establish himself as one of the most consistent performers in all of Pro League over all the seasons that he's played in. But that was that match, and let's get to this one. We have an exciting match with huge, stakes on the line, with Ronin playing against the former Era team, which is now called Soon TM.
Yeah, they've got, of course, something, I guess, Soon TM around the corner, some announcement that I'm sure that they're going to be very eager to make. But for now, they are playing under the guise of, well, a different name.
Unfortunately, some complications with their organization led to them being essentially homeless, and now they, I don't know if there's going to be an announcement coming soon.
I mean, the name.
It would make you think.
It makes you think, doesn't it? Yeah, it implies something, I'm sure.
Well, for their sake, hopefully they don't end up fighting off against relegations, because not maybe the best start for that org to step in.
Right. Of course, you do have to get into that next season. Also important.
Yes, and we will touch on that many times, I'm sure. First interview is going to be ready. It will be Talon. We'll be talking to, I guess, the longest tenured member of Ronin now. We spoke to 2 weeks ago. So in just a moment, we'll toss that up here and we'll ask him a couple questions about his team. Talon, how are you doing? Nice to see you.
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. First question, are you in a bathroom?
Am I in a bathroom? No, I'm in the basement that has a kitchenette behind me, and it just happens to have a sink.
Okay, because I went back and I rewatched the first interview, and I had to wonder, is he playing in the bathroom? So let's get started, though. Disappointing first week, I'm sure, for you. You came in facing off against Evil Geniuses, hopefully maybe expecting a closer matchup. Your tweet earlier today suggested that your team has made some noticeable strides in the last 2 weeks. Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, so going into the EG game, we didn't really have much experience. We had less than a week under that lineup, and with 2 new members, that really wasn't going to be a great recipe for success. However, we've kind of had a couple of weeks now. We've been able to actually run through some strats. I've gotten a little bit more comfortable on the IGO role, so it's kind of been good. You know, I think we've kind of defined our play style a little bit better, so I'm a lot more confident coming into this matchup than I was against EG.
And that's great to hear. I mean, it's a good time for you to make those adjustments because, you know, there's a lot at stake with this being relegations, and it's a question that we're going to ask the former Era roster now called Soon TM. But for you in particular, there's a lot of history between these 2 teams. You played them a number of times on the Rainbow Six Invitational ladder matches. Then you met them as well in the actual playoffs. You were knocked out of the Final 4 by them. And on top of that, you scrimmed them many, many times when you had an old roster. Now, they've made some changes. So how do you prepare for this matchup, knowing that these 2 teams have played each other so much over the last 2-3 months?
For us personally, I can tell you that nothing is the same. We've pretty much changed up all of our defenses, all of our attacks are different. You know, we've got a lot more tricks up our sleeves now. I don't think, like, if you go back to our old VODs, I don't think you're going to be able to really see much difference. I mean, you might see a few things here and there, but it's really shouldn't be the same.
Well, hopefully these changes bear some fruit for your team in that case. I think it's going to be an exciting matchup no matter what. And anything to say before we end the interview and toss to your roster?
No, best of luck to everyone, and best of luck to my guys if you're watching.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Thanks. So they've made some changes. It was unfortunate for them because not only did they have to contend with all the actual changes to the meta, but then they had 2 pretty big roster changes a week before their matchup against EG.
Yeah, and that's always going to be a huge upset to your overall gameplay. Talon, Yellow, Billboard, Cookies, and 9line going to be the roster for Ronin. And of course, Talon telling us that they're optimistic about today, you know, some major changes. I look forward to seeing those. You know, that's something I really do like about every time we do an interview with Talon, is he always seems to be looking forward, trying to be pragmatic and think about what can be done and how they can come out on top.
He's somebody who's been around this scene so much that you'd imagine that there isn't much he hasn't seen.
Yeah.
If I can use those words. Same sound.
It works. It does.
But different spelling.
Different.
So their roster, Talon, Yellow, Billboard, Cookies, and 9line are the same 5 that competed for them just 2 weeks ago, and we'll be getting up Soon TMs in just a moment. But let's talk about Ronan a little bit. He said made some changes. He's IGLing some strats. How wise of a move is it to throw out the rule book and completely go, from scratch 2 weeks after your first match?
I don't know. I mean, it's something you need to do. I mean, we looked at the way they played previously against EG, and they needed to make those changes. I mean, even if it's going to cost you in the short run, you need to have it for the long run. You have to be able to bring longevity to your team, even if you don't make it to the next season, even if you get relegated, even if it goes all the way down. It's all about that long game. Coming back in Season 9, potentially, that could be the end game result for Ronan. And, I mean, I don't think that that's just a dead set thing. I think they've got a lot of chance to win this one. It's definitely going to be an even match. But overall, making changes to your gameplay to try and refine what you have for the long run is the most important thing.
Right, and that was something that Talon touched on his very first interview. We'll bring up the soon TM roster, but just touching on that very quickly, Ronan had said they'd made these changes for the long run, and we'll see. But for soon TM, a new face. Last week they had Snake Nade playing for them. Now it's Benji, joined by my man, Crazy, Gurmy, and Bosco.
Yeah, of course, a little bit of a maneuver there with Snake Nade because he was an old player for the team. He could come back, keep their three-man roster so that they could then refresh that three-man roster, and now all of these players are technically official players of the team, and it's just something to do playing on the rulebook to be able to compete. And now they have the roster that they do want after coming off of a loss. So that might be the change-up that they, similar to what Ronan changing their entire game plan, might be the change-up that Soon TM needs to establish a win here.
And it was the team known as Era then playing off against Space Station 2 weeks ago, giving us probably the most evenly matched North American set so far.
It's pretty good.
It was a pretty enjoyable game if you tuned into that. Snake Nade played very, very well. So that's something that I think Benji is going to need to do, is he's going to need to fill those shoes, because Snake is somebody who's been around a lot. You teamed with him in particular.
Since Season 1.
And he's a known quantity. He's been grinding really hard to get back to the point where he needed to be for that game, and I think he impressed. For me, it's ensuring that players such as Gurmy, such as my man, such as Bosco show up today.
Yeah, but of course also, as you touched on, Benji. Benji is going to be the one in the spotlight for Soon TM. He's the one that needs to show up the most because he is coming into, as you said, a very strong performance from Snake Nade. So the thing to note as well, though, is that it could potentially be the case where Benji is playing his role, which is going to be Snake Nade's role, differently than Snake would have played it, which might result in him maybe getting less kills. What you need to take a look at is how he's playing, what he's doing, and if he's performing his overall role correctly. So let's jump to the bans and later the picks for this match and see where we're going to actually be playing.
And Ronan will get choice of first ban. They'll ban Cafe Chalet and Consulate, with Bank, Clubhouse, and Skyscraper eliminated as well by Soon TM, leaving just Border, Coastline, and Oregon. And now Border and Oregon are two pretty fair contests.
I mean, to be honest, all of these maps are going to be fair contests. We haven't actually seen Oregon played, I believe, so far this season. It's been kind of in the back end of everyone's minds, if I recall. It hasn't been played, it hasn't been played very much, if at all. It's been pretty low down there. So
it's actually been Border, who we haven't seen, which is actually surprising. So
both of them actually not being played very much.
It's tough to keep track because we have seen Border been played by other regions, right? So it's one of those things where for us, Border will be first with Ronan. Now, when I look at these maps, I don't see Ronan as a Border or Oregon team. When I see Ronan, I think of the unconventional maps. I think of Coastline. I think of Skyscraper, which was Soon TM's ban. I think of Clubhouse.
I can't call Coastline an unconventional map anymore. It's so in the It's been played quite a lot this season, especially, and I don't think it's unconventional. More importantly, Ronan, as we just talked about earlier, I mean, completely adjusting their play. They could be a totally reformed team for all we know. From what they were saying, that's obviously their plan. And because of that, it's hard to really say what maps do they like, what maps don't they like. In this selection, it could go either way. I honestly can't say.
And that was what Talon said. I wish we had had an interview from Soon TM to be able to get their thoughts on these transitions, because they've also made changes as well, and I'd like to pick their brains on behalf of what they've done with their roster. But from Talon's perspective on Ronan, he said, you go back and you rewatch VODs from a couple weeks ago. He said they're not going to have any similarities. Now, that's a very bold claim to make, that you've completely revamped everything, but that could explain why we saw the bans go the way they went.
I mean, I don't know if you can completely change everything about your team at the grassroots level in the course of a couple weeks. The thing is that there's always going to be some aspects of each individual player that will be continued throughout their entire careers, no matter what team they play for. But let's take a look at the community vote, see what you guys thought was going to be the victor of this match. Wow, that's a close one. I think the closest we've ever had.
That is very close, and I honestly, I'm a little taken aback that Ronin would get the slight advantage based upon what we saw in the first week. I figured that because Soon TM played such an even match against Space Station Gaming that we might see them take this vote.
Well, let's jump into Border and actually find out who the victor will truly be, as this will be our first map. Second, of course, Oregon, as we saw, and Coastline third. Yeah, it's going to be Ronin versus Soon TM. We will be having Eras, or they're all using the Era. Okay, so just a quick clarification. Of course, Soon TM were known as Era just previously, and the reason that they haven't changed their name is because you can only change your name on Uplay once every 30 days. I believe it's 30 days. So because of that, they are going to be running under the tags in-game of Era, but they are not, of course, with Era any longer.
Right, and yeah. So they'll get around to changing it. I believe Bosco was asked on his stream why he didn't just take the tag off, and that's because he's not going to wait, you know, 30+ days from that exact moment to make that change.
Another thing is their name is Soon TM, which means that eventually, of course, I'm sure they have another name change that they're going to want to make eventually.
10 seconds left.
So that's probably why they haven't gone and changed it right now. They're saving up their name
5
change.
seconds to go.
But interestingly here, a defense of the bottom floor to start us off, not going to be going up to Armory, the most common bomb site on this map. They will instead go down to Ventilation Workshop, which is obviously our go-to secondary.
At least they're not starting off with bathroom tellers.
We've seen that.
Yeah, never successful.
I think, well, no, I don't want to say
not for the first round, I would say. You don't.
Not in the last
there you go.
3 or 4 seasons. I don't think we've seen a first round successful tellers defense. But I know if we look pretty far back, maybe there's 1 or 2 of those.
But so for this setup, you need a castle. That's what they'll bring. It'll be Billboard. What I found actually fascinating about Talon's interview, he said that he's IGLing now.
Yeah.
He was not the IGL previously. So that is a change right there on their roster as well. So, I mean, we know that we as viewers can kind of cheekily place all the blame at his feet. Of course, they lose.
Yeah, so we're going to be every time we see Ronin lose a round, it's going to be, oh, Talon, unfortunately, calling it incorrectly. As Yellow runs out through the window, he will go back into B. Just a quick check there for Yellow, but that means they won't be able to make that play should Soon TM set up on the B site later. This is an interesting nade. Going to be clearing out the castle barricade, hopefully to catch off castle. It will do just that. Billboard goes down. Nice job there from a man, and a double kill for him. Cookies peeking a little bit wide there. Will die to my man.
They just weren't expecting that push. Immobilized by the EE1D, which is, of course, its intended effect, is to keep you completely planted in place. You see there is no mute on defense, so no real opportunity there for them to use those jammers as a means of moving around undetected. As well, with Yellow's rotate, he went undetected himself, so he was able to get back to site without anybody seeing. They've got pressure from above, they've got pressure just on the peripherals of the actual site, or the periphery of the site itself, and as the EE1D goes down, Benji takes off 9line's head, leaving just Yellow and Talon. Will get very aggressive though, and the IGL and captain of Ronin will push up, he'll claim Benji before getting refragged from Bosco. That was the sledge playing at the top. And it's all up to Yellow. The Vigil will be alone on site in a 4v1 favoring Soon TM as the round is coming to a close.
He's just waiting for an opportunity. He knows Thermite is inside of that bathroom. Sees Thatcher, gets the headshot there. Crazy goes down. Relocation by Yellow to try and keep things in his favor. Spraying down the main hall though, my man, I think that's his 3rd kill of the round. Well done to him. Fantastic round overall. And well done as well to, of course, the Lion player with that EE1D to set up my man for that swift double kill in the beginning.
That C8 takes a lot of abuse from people for its unwieldy recoil, and it did seem to absolutely benefit my man there, as you saw the bobble at the very last second to take off the head of the Vigil player and give Soon TM their first win. And if the series with EG and SSG is any indicator, I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of attacking round wins. I don't think it was just necessarily a clubhouse-style deal, because Cafe was very close as well, mind you. Ended up being 5-1, so you had more of an even split, but it's going to be something that we see emerge way too soon to call it, but something to watch out for.
So a little bit more of a conventional setup here from Soon TM. They're going to be going to the top floor rather than downstairs. And there's not really much to talk about there. I mean, it really just is a case of, oh, can we mix them up? And oh, this is our slightly more preference here. I mean, it doesn't matter in the long run because you go to both bomb sites. So whatever floats your boat, really. Gurmy going to seemingly set up a 75% hold over by CCTV as he starts opening up walls and moving his way over into just that position. Yes, indeed, there it goes. So we have seen, I guess, less of these CCTV holds from the defense than in seasons prior. I think when this hold initially came out, when it was a new thing, everyone wanted to do it, and then it saw a little bit of a fall in popularity. But interestingly, as of this new meta, it's been coming a little bit back.
We've been seeing so many office takes that you typically will find that the defense will stack up more on the office side and not utilize the CCTV or monitor's room as a means of holding that down, which is confusing because that mirror window that you set to 75 volt, that mirror window being over there inside a CCTV, which Marcio is just locating for us right now, that gives you so much control over that entire stretch of the eastern staircase. And then, of course, you can see in a fountain, which has been completely shot open too. So basically denying all of that room for the defense to be able, or the attackers to be able to push in by the defenders.
And that's exactly where Ronin is going right now. So they're sort of falling into this trap as they move their way to the top of East, as well as the East balcony, or top East stairs, that is. They are going to have a good position to start an assault onto Office, but the question is, can they get past Office? That is really the big hump in this attack. Now, you also have an IQ. That's Billboard downstairs looking for Crazy, reading that there is going to be a pulse. Very wise play here from Ronin, but Crazy going to be on the other side of the bottom floor.
If you remember, it was Border that was actually Border being picked by, when they were known as Era, against Space Station Gaming. You had Bosco and Crazy with those huge clutches playing upstairs. When you had Crazy on the Legion playing off of that deployable shield, he'll now go with the Pulse instead.
So he's going to have to face down two players. Talon and Billboard are trying to hunt him down. Zofia and the IQ. Now IQ, of course, could be able to call it if he uses the heartbeat detector, but Talon gets lit up from above. My man, good control over the top of those main lobby stairs. Crazy calling out that position of IQ. Going to also go for some pre-fires.
And it's always sunny in Border as the wild card of Crazy downstairs, finally dispatched by Billboard. It looked like he was going to be able to persist a little longer, but his lifespan isn't more than 10 seconds after getting spotted, and that's the IQ doing due diligence to find him. So you still have 9 operators left with just a minute to go. They've managed to ease off the main floor so they don't have to worry about the threat of a C4 going up or even that intel being gathered. Bosco, who is so formidable on this smoke, he'll take out the Ying before the Ying can really get the gadgets down, and that is a lot of utility that will no longer be available to the team, and he's going to hang out inside of security. He'll be immobilized by that EE-1D and still have the mirror window, though, at his advantage as Ronin coalesces around the bomb site.
Only 20 seconds left. Gurmy going to get down by a grenade, and the C4 from Benji trying to deny the defuse plant, but it's not going to work. As it seems like the attack has control of the front of B bomb site. My man will actually get Billboard. Talon responds, and Benji trying to anchor hard with 5 seconds left. All he needs to do really is stay alive and deny the plant, and he does just that. What a clutch from Benji, a double kill on the 9-line, and Talon waiting out the time and denying the defuse plant in the back of sight. What happened there? It looked like control was well in hand of the assault, but they couldn't get that plant down.
They pushed separately. And that's something that we've seen teams lose entire rounds to. You lose your momentum. At this level, taking one-on-one engagements is usually always going to favor the person in the final 10 to 15 seconds who is best positioned to know where the attackers are coming from. That is, that's exactly where Benji was. He knew where they were going to feed in through. He watched the doorway from Fountain, was able to get the kill, and then he pushed up and looked towards the window out on ventilations, expecting somebody else to come. He saw that diffuser. That's when it was red. It was, I believe it was Talon that pushed up at that point. He took down the Zofia, and they just ran out of time. And if they had pushed in synchronization, you could have potentially pinched Benji and played for a trade, in which you now have control of sight with Talon holding that diffuser, or you have the other member of Ronin be able to go up and get that diffuser. They just didn't do that, and they paid the price.
And a little bit, I would say, of miscommunication, miscoordination that is kind of resembling the issue of new rosters still. But that's the thing, is we're now on week 3. They have, of course, played week 1, and at that point it was forgivable because they had just made those roster changes, I think, a couple days prior to their matchup. But now they need to be, I think, a little bit more in sync than they are. Of course, I'm referring to Ronin, who seem to be struggling right now, at least early on. You know, we're only 2 rounds in. That's very important to remember. They are finally defending the top 4, and this is the first time they've done so. So this could be a little bit of a mix-up.
There's a couple things in that round that really stood out to me. Number one, the play of Pulse below is crazy. It took them a minute and a half to find him and hunt him down, and then by that point, they didn't really have much control from above, and I think part of that was because they were slowed by that mirror in CCTV. They did not put much pressure on that at all. They tried to dislodge Bosco, but couldn't do it.
There was also the fact that they brought specifically an IQ to hunt down the Pulse. So the most efficient tool to complete that job, yet it could not be done efficiently, which is unfortunately, you know, you can't blame the tool in that instance. You have to blame the handler.
Or even coordination. You know, the IQ should not necessarily be the only one going after the Pulse.
Well,
There
was also Talon, I believe it was, on the Zofia, who was trying to hunt him down in coordination, but it was stopped by my man at the top of the stairs, who lit up Talon quite a lot.
He acted as a distraction. They both ended up in a, you know, a war of words with one another, so to speak, and it was Mamana to fall off. At that point, Talon did push up to Fountain, and I mean, he probably should have stayed at that point with Billboard.
Yeah.
But didn't. This round, though, round number 3, you see Ronin running a very roam-heavy defense too. They've got the Pulse downstairs, so they're essentially aping the strategy that we'd seen in round number 2. Having a Pulse underneath is pretty commonplace, though.
Yeah, we see this a lot. Usually the meta is evolved through scrims, and it translates to each and every team in the region. And right now the meta is, hey, let's play a Pulse downstairs. And as you say, not exactly an uncommon meta, no matter where you are.
My man briefly sees the body of Talon, but Bosco will do the other side, as that is a pinch. And they'll catch Talon. There was no way out for him unless he decided to fire. So he lost the Pulse, but look at the time at the moment favoring Ronin a little more than it was the last time around.
It's the same amount of efficiency, really. I mean, overall, it's definitely going to be in favor of the defenders. He did waste a lot of time.
E1D will spy a couple of the rats, I believe, as Lion calls them. But Yellow firing back, he'll take out Benji, and that's the Lion down. That's huge. Man eliminates Billboard playing upside inside of that office. Cookies downs with Man, and they're just trading. At half wall, Gurmy will light up Yellow. Cannot connect. Cookies on the stairs coming back to site as 9line finished off by Bosco, and Cookies trades that one. It's 2-2 at the moment with 30 seconds to go. Yellow has next to no health, and Crazy finishes the last to him off, leaving it all up to the Bandit of Cookies. It was a Bandit in round number 2 who clutched. We'll be able to do it this time. Against the duo of a Thermite and a Thatcher, Gurmy starts to go for the plant, baited with Crazy watching. Cookies will give his position away. He sees him, he'll get it, but oh no, Crazy didn't know! 15 seconds, he'll have to grab that diffuser, and will do so. Cookies tries to warn Crazy off, he sees him, and a clutch from Cookies will give Ronin their first win. What did we say last round about pushing on your own, and
there was also no coverage as well.
Soon TM makes the same mistake.
It's just, overall, I'm not sure what was going through the head of Crazy there. It seemed like he was trying to cut off rotation through small office on the long angle. You can get an angle through the wall and then the doorway, even going all the way to the B bomb site door. But the Bandit was already past that point, and you just need to cover hard. You need to prevent the stopping of the plant, and more importantly, after the plant does get stopped, refrag.
It could have been that, if you recall, it was Cookies playing on the bomb, so he wasn't playing in the office, which is where I think Crazy was initially looking. I think Crazy was looking into the office.
Well, he was trying to cut off rotation on the long angle through office,
right,
all the way towards locker.
Assuming that he hadn't rotated, but Cookies is already there.
He was
past. Yes, exactly, and that's a big mistake from Crazy. An excusable mistake given how much area he had to cover, but the fact that he was so slow to react after that is to me the most telling issue, and you leave Cookies in complete control at that point with time on his side. Unless Crazy had gotten the kill around the bomb, which he ended up backing off to try and get the plant down, there really was no way out for him.
It looked like the round was well in hand of Soon TM, but they just couldn't make it work for him. Now, they are going to go on to defense of the armory, which they did previously, but I think it worked. Actually, they did make it work.
Attackers have recovered their
They're downstairs.
They are downstairs. I am
so they are
delusional.
So this is excusable. So if you were relatively,
I was like, how are they defending armory?
if you were relatively new to the game, a huge part of defending this site is playing above, and I think that is where the confusion can lie from. And at that point, it is completely acceptable to realize that, hey, they're maybe playing a different site. So when you're defending Workshop downstairs, you will often have a lot of bodies up top. Sometimes you'll bring a Mute, sometimes you'll bring a Mira, sometimes you'll bring a Castle. We see 2 of those right now, and out goes the Pulse, in comes the Valkyrie. And that was something I was going to point out, was that we've seen a lot of Pulse, but Valkyrie is usually a very friendly map. Or Border is usually a very friendly map to Valkyrie.
Valkyrie's a friend. Yes. Yes. You know, today has been a really it's been a colorful start. It's been an interesting one. The match has been great so far, and we're having a blast. Now, Ronan, going to be taking from Tellers. You can see this is the very common take that you often see. Yellow going to use the utility of his device. If you didn't already know, those do run underneath doorways a lot more efficiently than your normal flashbang, so that's going to flash anyone inside a bathroom, allowing the Thermite to plant the Thermite charge on the singular reinforced wall. And that's a good line of sight now that 9line will have into A.
And they've managed to blow open that wall and be able to push into site without having to take care of bathrooms. So you've essentially, it's I believe a couple teams have referred to it as the caged animal strat, where you leave the defense holed up in a room with a castle barricade, ready to, angry to unleash at any moment. It's essentially what we have right now. And it looked like German was playing inside of the bathroom. Take a dozen or so shots from Talon to be able to take that.
13?
Something along those lines to be able to take out that castle barricade. Another EE will go down, and the red light goes over the attackers. They'll push inside a bathroom, and very smartly, if I can employ that phrase, SoonTM has fallen off, but you have a minute and you still have a lot of action yet to take place. The Mira shows her head, and Yellow promptly removes it from her body. Still has his gas, or still has his smokes, as well as his candelas, his gadgets down. Benji from above is going to be a really big difference maker here. He'll take out 1 in Yellow as early candelas go down, and 9line amidst the shroud of smoke will be able to get a plant while the defenders sit still for 4 seconds. Talon in good position as Benji. My man answer a double from Sam, leaving just Billboard up. And they did not get the defuse down either. Big problems for Ronan.
That was a huge shift in the momentum of the round thanks to my man, but he goes down. What a flank from Billboard. Crazy will shut him off, though, and Billboard goes down. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there. My man able to walk in through the main lane without any coverage at all from the attack? I mean, usually you have at least one person watching that, and it seemed like the Valkyrie was able to just, hey, I'm just going to come behind, and hey, look, a bunch of free kills, and you can't plant that diffuser? No? Okay, and there's the round. Thank you very much.
Would you call it free real estate?
It's free real estate. It's free real estate. Free real estate.
What was most puzzling to me was that they left Benji upstairs playing on the desk in office over top of the hatch, and it didn't even look like they knew the hatch was open. And how can you open up part of the site and not assess if there's somebody with control above?
And we're taking from Tellers into A event of Workshop. And you know what let's not do? Let's not take Archives. That's a solid plan. I've seen it work, I swear. We should do that every round from here on out. I'm sorry. It's
inexcusable.
It's inexcusable. It's step number 1 usually. We're being a little bit harsh, you know. I guess maybe a little bit, but at the same time, you know, it's the expectation that we place on Ronan because they have that skill to deliver. It just seemed like in that round they had a little bit of a hiccup.
So of the 4 rounds so far, I would say that 2 of them, the fault of Ronan losing rests solely at their own feet, which is a problem at this level. You cannot be committing those many mistakes, especially when you're facing relegations. Now, this was something we alluded to. Would you care to explain the relegation system and why the stakes right now are as high as they are for both of these two?
We've talked about it before quite a lot, of course, on the stream, but it's so important that it's worth repeating. So essentially this next season, Season 8, is going to be 6 months long. And what that means is that for 6 months, we will have the same 8 teams in each region competing. It will not deviate. It'll just stay as it is. So when you go out of this match, when you lose this match, whichever one of these teams does, they will be put into relegations. And if they lose in relegations, then they will not play in the next season, which means for 6 months, there will be no Pro League for them, which is huge.
So if you're a team like Ronan, as my man seemed to almost catch one defender, but Cookies answers back, and an explosive start to round number 5, as my man, who has been very good so far in this matchup, will not be able to have any impact whatsoever in the next minute and a half. Yellow almost gets missed. He's Vigil. He's invisible to drones, but not to the naked eye, and Bosco is able to finish that one off as he gets 2 now. Dylan Bosco from above, and that is Sledge's playground. He has committed almost his entire time on attack as Sledge to the upstairs portion of this map. I was gonna say part of the portion, you know.
So this is what we wanted to see from Ronin last round. It's just some presence upstairs, and now that, as you can see, Era has it, or rather, excuse me, Soon TM has it. It's the tax. It's, you know, and it's not their fault. It's just how it is. But Soon TM, now that they have that top floor control, they're using it so adeptly. And Gurmy elsewhere will get Billboard as he tries to push up the top of East Stairs.
Why was Castle there?
Interesting attempt at a flank there, but that's going to be one of the most covered points of the map. The top of East Stairs always a pivotal point for the attack on border, almost no matter where you're attacking.
Cookies looks like he's playing down at the main door as well, leaving Talon just off site. So none of them are actually sitting in the bomb sites, but Cookies can play there without really much worry due to the fact there's a castle behind him.
So again, top floor well in hand of Soon TM. Here come the EE1Ds at 5 versus, excuse me, not 5 versus 3, a 3 versus 2 as Talon eliminates Gurmy. But Bosco gets his 3rd kill of the round, and Cookies now the last defender. He has the diffuser, but he's gonna have to wait 20 seconds, and here comes the push. He also has teammates on cameras near his position who will be calling out a lot of information. You tell him when the attack decides to push in to grab their diffuser in this last 10 seconds. And here comes Bosco of 4K. Cookies goes down. What a round from him. Almost single-handedly picking apart the enemy team.
Yeah, I bet you could call Bosco a powerhouse. I had to get one in there. So 4-1 match
Did he hail from Powerhouse?
You know what? He did play for them very briefly. So did Crazy.
I hear that Crazy and Bosco played for Powerhouse, guys. Did you hear about that? Do you know?
A little fun fact.
Do you know
Just an
Red
FF.
Groove? Red Groove from Europe. He played for
Room
played for
Factory?
Sleepy.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Which was my thing.
That was your thing.
That was back in the day
There you
for
go.
about a week.
Some subtle plugs.
There
So,
you go.
match point. This is Ronin's map. I think that is what is being overlooked right now. This
Right.
is Ronin's map.
So-
Soon TM has a commanding lead
Bad.
right now, and yes, that is
Bad
very
Ronin.
bad. Bosco and Maman have woken up. Benji as well. A good debut for him in Pro League. As for Ronin, they are still trying to find their footing, and right now, one round away from going down a map and basically facing, I guess, what would technically be like relegation point. Also, keep in mind that Space Station Gaming plays the winner of this matchup, and I mean, we could potentially see a Soon TM Space Station Gaming rematch, which
10 seconds left.
would be a pretty exciting match if it goes that way.
I mean, the last time they played together, yeah, that was pretty great. So, you know, that would be awesome. But it would also be cool if Ronin went up against Space Station. Yeah, I'm just saying, that could be awesome.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. I just meant that it would be a nice rematch. So Ronin has a lot of work to do right now. They're going to go on attack. The last time that they pushed on this site in particular, Yellow died before really being able to use any of those candelas or smokes, which of course is a huge detriment to any push that they may have.
Yeah, it'd be great to see, of course, Ying, one of the most utility heavy operators in the game, whether it be on attack or defense or in this meta or not. She brings a lot to the team, so it'd be great to see Yellow be able to use that in this round as he sits himself up on the balcony. Now this push on this balcony, oh wow, Talon, good repel there. My man goes down, and that's a good read of the expected roam in CCTV, my man. Of course, a little bit too aggressive. Bosco now going to be all alone playing the mirror window. He has to hold 3 different bottlenecks. You can even call him that.
That's the kind of move that you can afford to take. Gurmy, who only has 1 kill so far today, will get beheaded by Billboard. And Ronin, Benji goes down to a lifeline missile. So a very good start for Ronin to this round. And I say start because it's only been a minute and Bosco has a shred of health. And it's basically just Crazy left at full health right now for his team.
And it seems if this is a start, then it's certainly the beginning of the end, at least for Ronin, or for Soon TM rather. I mean, either way, it looks like it's wrapping up pretty fast here as Ronin have asserted some dominance. We've never seen them do it before. We've never seen this level of play from them so far in the match, so this could be the wake up.
A big difference that they did last time around on this very similar setup was they invested a minute and a half trying to find Crazy. They have not tried to find him at all. The Pulse has languished downstairs as the rest of his team has sat inside of CCTV monitors and essentially just fed themselves to Ronin. Bosco almost loses his head to 9line, but Crazy comes back and he'll get the very first kill for his team.
You know, I really got to appreciate how Ronin's not taking this too quickly. They realize they have the advantage and they're trying not to throw it away. And as the push comes out, with 2 lit Soon TM players, it's only 1 bullet from each to die, and there it goes. Oh no, Bosco just a little bit above where he needed to be shooting. Yellow gets a double kill though, and that's some great utility as well as just gunplay from the Ying player of Yellow. But yeah, no, a great round from Ronin, and I think the first really great round we've seen from them.
Yeah, that was all Ronin, and that's the kind of match, that's the kind of, round rather.
Today, man.
That's the kind of round that Ronin needs to have and tie those together to be able to be competitive. I try not to read too much into the fact that this is Ronin's map and they are currently losing.
Is it Ronin's map?
How many times have we been in a situation where, you know, the team will lose their map and then they'll win their opponent's map? It happens quite often, almost to the point where we have suspected that we are getting sabotaged by our production team.
You know what it is? It's no, it's the teams. What they're doing is they're intentionally picking the maps that they don't like. That's the string. Well, it's not that. It's not that.
We'll see if it pays off.
It's not.
The only member of any team not on the board right now is 9line. As for Ronin, you're seeing a healthy share between the rest of the team. As for Soon TM, a bit more top heavy, and losing my man early always hurts them in any round. And that was, I think, a big part of the last round was they got a little cute. And like I said, you can afford to take those chances. You're winning 4-1, maybe get really aggressive and go for broke, but you can't do that a couple times or else you lose your momentum and then you end up facing off in overtime against a team that has, you know, caught fire. They don't want that to happen to Ronin.
So kills aren't everything. They really, really aren't. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, you know, stuff you don't really get to see because it's not, you know, the most flashy stuff, you know, like utility you set up, stuff you call for your teammates and yada, yada, yada. And having not a lot of kills is forgivable. Having a donut 6 rounds in, starting the 7th, it's hard to justify.
It's very tough, and yeah, there's a lot of operators' contributions are not happening on the scoreboard.
Right.
It's not reflected in their point total. It's not reflected in their KD, their rounds survived, etc. I know that we do get. Everybody does, but we in particular do also get caught up in that loop where it's like, oh my, you know, they're doing so well in terms of kills, which is great. That's, you know, half the battle, but it's not.
It's certainly not the whole.
Exactly.
And I mean, I wish there were a lot of things I wish we had. Like, for example, I wish I could tell how long people spend on drones. It's a relevant statistic. You know, how long are you calling out for your team? It's something you don't get to see a lot of. Now, Gurmy, starting things off here, 9line goes down. Fortunately, he's not going to be able to get a kill in this round, so it's going to have to be the next. Interestingly, he was actually peeking, looking for a kill there. Interesting strategy. Also, an unreinforced wall in A, and they're defending the top floor. Now, I can get it if they're defending bottom floor, but this is questionable.
The man goes to entry, and he gets picked apart by Yellow, so Ronin will respond 20 seconds later to even things out. So you've lost your Mira, and you've lost your Buck. For Mira, as long as both those Miras are down, Mira, you know, being removed from the match is not as detrimental as I would say a Buck is, and it does look like both those Miras are indeed down as Bosco has a good angle on both of them, but they've completely taken control of that security room instead of CCTV.
Yeah, Cookies is trying to play the mirror window in B to contest the mirror window in CCTV, which is, you know, kind of interesting. I mean, I understand why you're going to want both those mirror windows, but in a way, when you're setting them up like that, you're countering yourself as a defender.
That could be an early smoke just to allow a rotate of one of the defenders. They still haven't discovered Talon, who is playing below, and that is a Pulse who is going to be very important as the round goes on. You see that he's already spotted 2. Gurmy, who is the only kill for his team, tries to go for 1. Then a grenade will haphazardly get tossed in. It'll take a chunk of Billboard's health away. The second one will go down, but it will not find a target as Crazy eliminates Cookies, leaving just Billboard playing by Sandwich, and Bosco will tear him asunder. 4v2, Soon TM looking to close this one out.
But the C4 from below, oh, it gets EMP'd! Crazy, the timing, he doesn't even know it, but he could have just saved the round. Benji will get Yellow, and Talon now the last defender, stopped by an EE1D, sees the line in the hallway, gets the flick onto Benji as he rotates into cafeteria area, but he's got to find 3 more. Now, Bosco is very lit, but he is on point right now with his gunplay, so it might not matter. He's also got 2 teammates to back up and refrag. Oh, a headshot from Talon, but Bosco, exactly that, the refrag, and Talon goes down. That will be it. A 5-2 in favor of Soon TM.
Bosco breaking double digits in the final moments, showing Border is consistently one of his best maps. I think that's a disappointing result for Ronin, probably expecting something a little bit more, and now they will go to Oregon, which is Soon TM's map choice. And like I said, not trying to read into it too much, but this could end up being a very fast game.
Absolutely. I mean, interesting first time we've seen Border played in North America. Well done, or I believe it was, or...
We saw Space Station and Era play it 2 weeks ago. So it might be that it was the first time that Ronin has played it, or Ronin has picked it.
It was the first time that Ronin's picked it.
So there you go.
But either way, an interesting first match for the series. Yes. We could see a third, but as you say, it does look like it's shaping up to be a 2-0, considering we're now going on to Space Station, or Soon TM's pick.
So Oregon is going to await us. The maps play out very differently. They are widely seen as 2 of the most balanced maps, with 2 sites that function maybe not in a 1A, 1B type scenario, but there is at least a suitable secondary site that you can start off on. So for the way, example, the way that you saw that Ronin started on Workshop rather than going up to Armory. So for Oregon, you've got Kids Dorms, which is a scene that we've seen more of recently on Oregon, because of the prevalence of Lion. And I stumbled over my words last time around, but basically Lion has made defending the basement very difficult. So you now go upstairs, and that's the site that you will quarrel over.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, I mean, I think it's just comes down to the anti-roam and the fact that Lion makes roaming so hard, and the necessity of roaming on that basement hole. Right. I mean, you can anchor all in, but it's super dangerous. And we're seeing a lot more Thatcher, a lot more IQ in this meta as well, and they counter a lot of the utility you would use to anchor all in on the basement. So, yeah, again, even accelerating that danger. So, here we go. Oregon, yet again, going to be our map. You can see a loadout of all the bomb sites where we could potentially go. We're going to go to Tower as a start. When was the last time we saw Tower played on?
Oh my, it has been
Have you ever actually casted?
I've casted it in other amateur leagues. I have never casted
a tower hold.
Rear stage, back tower.
I want to say it's a lot sooner than...
It's probably a thrill ride. It's probably one heck of a time. So, first kill of the match will happen in the prep phase, and that's my man, who I'm not certain what he was doing there as Bosco shoots away, and that's an oops. So get some Fs in chat, please, for our downed mute. However, this is going to immediately put Soon TM at a huge disadvantage, not just because they're down by 1, but Mute is an operator that I would imagine
5 seconds left before
has, in their minds, a huge impact on the way they set up the strategy. Protect your mirrors to allow mirror to work behind the mirror windows themselves while the EE1D is going to deprive information, because there's only so many routes that a drone can get into the site. You can effectively cut off droning with 3 mute jammers.
You know what that was? That was Bosco wanting more kills. He wants all the kills. He gets all the kills. Got double digits on the first map. He wants double digits on this map, whether it comes from his team or the other team. So starting off with 1 frag, Bosco already in good line for that.
Yeah, he's I mean, not all kills show up on the scoreboard, right? So that one actually won't. But for the way that Ronin has this set up, Bosco though makes up for it with 9line, who's still searching for a kill. Gurmy playing up on that Mira just by the Armory corridor. That's by the doorway of Master, and has firm control. Now, they don't know that the diffuser has been dropped. That's crazy now that's actually playing there. Not Gurmy, my apologies. He's under pressure. Now, this is where a mute jammer would be incredibly helpful, because you could put a mute jammer down so you couldn't get droned, or you could, even potentially take care of that Mira. And I mean, if only they had brought a mute.
Man, why aren't there any mutes? What the heck, my man? What happened, man?
Not doing his job.
What happened? Here comes an EE1D as Cookies repels his way up to the roof. From the window, Talon somehow giving his life away to Gurmy, watching the wrong angle there. I think he was shooting my man's corpse. That's what it was. He saw the mute corpse, and he tried to take it out. Unfortunately, it was already dead. And Gurmy baiting out his dead teammate. So my man actually being useful in this round.
Bomb located by
Cookies standing just on the corner of that one roof to look inside of Kids. You know that Gurmy is incapable of moving due to the fact that the EE1D went down. The first kill for Ronin is going to come, and that's crazy. That is the Legion gone. He has gotten about half of his goo mines at this point because of the time in the round, but still Ronin finding themselves right now tied up, though, 3v3.
They also have only a minute left, and they haven't really made any progress. Now, luckily for them, Soon TM did open up the closet wall. So if Ronin should choose to use Master Control, should they get it, they will have, well, that as an option since they don't have any hard destructors. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. Now, at the top of Yellow Stairs, Bosco going to be a pivotal operator in these last 40 seconds to deny the push. Billboard on the repel for generator window. Gurmy gets his second. Yellow goes down as he pushes through the hallway. Benji gets Billboard, and it's just Cookies who pushes. Oh, no, Bosco shuts him down. Trying to come in through that main west window. It's just not going to happen. So, Bosco with a triple kill?
I think you got 3.
Or no, it's a triple kill.
It says 2, but there's definitely 3. There's a third one down there.
Yeah.
Man, not really useful. I will say though, all jokes aside, I am impressed with the way that Soon TM was able to hold that. Not only are we in a situation where Lion makes any site on Oregon very difficult to defend, not just the basement, but also Soon TM is able to come back from the fact that you lose a very important cornerstone of your defense, which is a mute.
I will reference the fact that my man did bait out shots from, I think it was Billboard on the window. He did, yes, indeed. So he was useful in that round, although he didn't.
They never see it coming.
They
never see that one coming.
He did get his jammers down, though.
Hey, how about you kill me, and then my corpse will distract them, and then you get the kill. Okay, let's do it. Great job, my man.
Teamwork, guys. It's teamwork. It was calculated. Bosco knew what he was doing, and that's why they won the round.
So Soon TM is only 4 rounds away from making Ronin fight through relegations for the second time. If you're not familiar with who Ronin are, they were formerly known as Onslaught. They have a charming
10
game.
seconds to insertion.
They've been in Pro League previously. They won like the last 2 or
5
3
seconds to
seasons of
insertion.
Challenger League, but failed to make it in, despite some of their colleagues
Attackers
from
recover
Challenger
the
League
diffuser.
making it in. So 2
Attackers
seasons
are
ago, it
moving
was
out to locate a
WBG,
bomb
who was
and
then known as
defuse it.
Core Impact, who made it in on relegations,
Attackers
despite
drop the
not winning
diffuser.
overall.
Attackers have
So
recovered their
for
diffuser.
Ronin, they will have to go back yet again, and this will be the, I think, the 3rd or 4th season in a row that Ronin would have to fight in relegations, but this time, they would actually be doing it from a Pro League perspective.
Yeah, of course, that's not something that they want to do, but it's looking like that's the situation right now. Bosco, he's been hitting his shots today, but
Located by attackers.
yeah, finally gets it. The trap goes down. So this angle that he's using right now is actually a really common angle, and it's very dangerous to contest as an attacker and defender both. It really comes down to who has it established first. So you can see Bosco, or excuse me, yeah, Bosco, he was looking for, oh, my man, what a shot.
That was incredible.
Yellow goes down. That had to have been from drone work. No, it looks like my man's only now moving his drone in. Just
It was
some
a
good
kill
read
hole.
there.
He saw the kill hole.
Saw the kill hole. And a trade between Cookies and my man. One from above, the other below. Neither will come out on top. And Talon retaking the kill. It's very dangerous.
Right, and the man making up for lost time with 2 kills after not being able to participate in round number 1 due to some friendly fire. Still, though, an advantage of Soon TM. Almost half of the round has gone. The only one that is down is my man. They've been using that buck as their primary entry fragger, and in fact, a little odd here from Soon TM is they're using a sledge and a buck combo. That grenade will hit its mark as 9line still killless. Benji fells Talon as Billboard takes Bosco down, but he's the only one left. A smoke is a pivotal operator to have when you're the last member of a team. He's crucial in the final, 30, 40 seconds, but when there's a minute and 20, there's still E1Ds to go. Red light will capture 1 as Crazy finishes off Billboard, and it's 2 in a row for Soon TM now. They're just gonna continue their march onward.
Interesting that we saw Ronin try to defend the bottom floor. We're talking about how that is really not in the meta right now as your go-to bomb site, and it really restricts you as a team. You could see quite clearly that those roamers up above were picked apart without any contention whatsoever. I mean, partially that's thanks to my man specifically with some great gunplay, but also you have to factor in that it's just how the meta is right now. Another curious thing is that we had Ronin defending upstairs, and they didn't reinforce some of the common walls that you would expect. Maybe the walls over by tower, the walls in attic, to prevent those pushes from Soon TM that were so inevitable. And because of that, Ronin, obviously, they lost the roam game very fast.
Now will be the real test, though, for Ronin, as Soon TM is locked out of going upstairs. They will have to pick one of the other 3 sites, even though it is a lot harder to defend the basement now than it has been in previous seasons. You're still going to prefer it over kitchen or rear stage and back tower. So that's exactly where Soon TM is going to go at the moment. For me, the big thing with Lion is that so much of a focus about holding basement relies on having usually 3 bodies off-site, maybe 2 in meeting hall. You can do the what is it there? It's referred to as the 1-2-2 or the 2-1-1, which is when you'll have 2 bodies upstairs and 1 on the main floor, or 1 upstairs and 2 on the main floor. Because the basement of Oregon's a bit claustrophobic. You can't really put 3 defenders downstairs.
There's only, I mean, if you're dealing with a main lobby attack and you're defending downstairs, there's only 2 or 3 positions that you can play to deny that push in through the main lobby. I mean, there's not much room to breathe. If there's any more players, then the only thing they could be doing is watching the potential flank, which, you know, of course, some teams on attack, they like to put someone in construction tunnel to late flank, but you still don't need that many bodies. Maybe 2 people tops downstairs. Those guys upstairs, what they're going to be doing is trying to delay for time, keeping themselves in the mind of the attackers, and just trying to distract overall.
They'll hit the front hatch quite hard. And this is also another thing that Lion has done, is they've made it difficult for you to play aggressively in that classroom, maybe on the armory stairs, because of the fact that, exactly this, as you start to hit that hatch and push up, that's when you drop the EE1D, and it prevents anybody from being able to push in.
You can see my man playing with his mute, obviously not going to be able to get droned out very easily, so he's going to play aggressive on this spot, but he might be caught out by Lion. That's Cookies, who's playing in Garage, waiting for this push. Seems to be holding the angle. Meanwhile, Crazy upstairs, also looking for a potential flank. He just has to time it right. You do have 9line, who's playing on the main lobby stairs above, who is not watching for the potential push right now from Crazy. So that could actually give them, they could kill.
But they've already dropped before going down, and how do you miss that? Gurmy takes out 9line, who won't get a kill still, but he gets the diffuser down, as now Ronan is circling in. Talon with 2, and now Yellow with Billboard joining the fray. It's all up to Crazy, who will need to clutch, but won't get it done. And Ronan proves that defending that bottom floor is pretty difficult for just about every single team. And despite the fact that my man made it alive out of the prep phase, not enough for his team. Ronan finally on the board. It seems like it's been a while since they won, around about 5 rounds so far since they've been able to get one. It's the right time to do it.
Yeah. Tagging onto the bottom floor, I think, is, of course, the round you really need to win, but I'm just not sure. And this is interesting. Okay, so Ronan hasn't won a defense, and they're going to go downstairs again. Questionable decision-making process there from Ronan. However, it could, I mean, it could work out. We can't knock it until they get 2 tries, right? The 3rd try, then I think you can start saying, yeah, that maybe that's a mistake. But they can still make this work. Anyway, yeah, on that last round, there were some pretty massive oversights on SoonTM, of course, allowing such an easy waltz into the site. I talked about how, okay, I talked about how you only need maybe 2 people to deny that push and deny that plant. But they only had 1 person. That was the Mira on the Mira window, and that you need at least somebody in a position to rush, should that be the tool that's right for the job, given the situation. And in that instance, it was the right tool. We needed a rusher, and SoonTM didn't have a rusher.
No,
5 seconds left.
That you got to give a lot of credit to Ronan there too. They popped the E1D when there was a lot of pressure going on, established outside of meeting hall. So there was no way for my man to be able to exit. There was no way for Benji to be able to exit. Crazy was still caught upstairs. You effectively made 3 defenders not exist for a long enough period of time that you could hit that site with the smokes and drop. So while we can thrust blame at the feet of SoonTM for how they played that, I think that was really more than anything a key component was how well Ronan was able to take that site quickly.
Yeah, definitely, but. No, you're right. You're right. Also, red light.
You don't sound. You sound like you sort of agree.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you're absolutely correct. There is something to keep in mind, though. It didn't look like when the attack was actually coming out from Ronan that they had very much good coverage. I mean, there was a player in open in the bomb site and 1 person, I believe, on the hatch watching for the push.
That's fair.
It would have been so easy for someone to shift W and deny the plant. That's my only reservation. But it's beside the point, really. Hindsight is 20/20, and as Vigil tries to rotate into kitchen, Bosco has positioned himself properly, and that rotation will be cut off. Yellow, a little bit of a misplay.
Just a couple seconds ago, that 1 pantry wall was still soft, so that was a recent rotation.
It might have been from above?
Vigil. Could have been potentially from above. That's right, he was playing. He was playing in above, so he was able to get the hatch inside of the kids' dorms and make that drop, but there was Bosco waiting. And like I said, the way we've seen SoonTM playing is they're using Maman and Bosco as exit fraggers, the sledge-butt combo. Not always that usual to see them being a duo. Again, Maman tries to take somebody out through a kill hole, but there's nobody there as Talon was sitting just beside him.
I would even argue unusual, really.
Yes.
I mean, it's the Soon TM lineup does. I mean, it's really working. I don't take Bosco off Sledge, and don't take my man off Buck. They're both fragging out. And as I say that, a frag will hit Talon right in the face, but luckily for him, he's a Doc, and he's gonna be able to pick himself up and continue playing in that position. Because of course there are no point notifiers in Pro League. There's no way my man could have known he hit a Doc there.
And he doesn't know he got the down. He doesn't know he even got a kill there, so that could have just been he went fishing and didn't hit anything.
I mean, even if you get the down, then you don't need to check it normally because the guy's down in attic. There's no way someone's gonna pick him up, but it's a Doc. So Talon, yeah,
A roaming Doc, mind you.
it is a little odd.
So we see EMPs go off. There was a smoke that had stopped the push from above. The man will get a grenade in, and 2 grenades come out as my man and Bosco take out Billboard and Cookies, and now Bosco will put pressure in by himself. It's just Talon and 9line. Now Talon will use both of those rotates as he goes from above. We'll have the diffuser working against the defenders. Ronan only has 2 in a 5v2 with Soon TM looking to go up by a score of 3-2. Talon, no, cannot get anything from that. Bosco and Benji, the 2Bs, get the last 2 members of Ronan as they just simply looked overwhelmed. And when it's a 5v2, you can just play for trades at that point. I mean, they didn't even really need to. They just went frag hunting, and Ronan got caught out of position.
Absolutely. Soon TM, yet again, another very decisive round. Ronan now, hopefully when they go into defense, will go somewhere other than Laundry, because they have been struggling now, only going to Laundry every single time. So, I mean, I want to see the Ronan that defends top floor. I want to see what they have to interpret that floor. I want to see how they're going to hold that. Because we haven't seen it yet. And now, Soon TM going to get to go back to their preferred bomb site, because we've seen rotation. They went downstairs. They obviously lost that round, but at the same time, you could still refresh since this is not ranked.
Yep. So for Soon TM, it's once again been a joint effort for Ronan. Strong performers on their team being able to hold it together. Soon TM, not as top heavy as previously. Bosco, though, doing work in both. I think both of the matches that we've seen thus far. We are 1 round away from match point. And yeah, I think this is going to really benefit Soon TM here. And keep in mind, the last time they won this site, they did it at a disadvantage, a self-imposed disadvantage, as they had gotten that team kill earlier on. They will avoid that mistake. My man will make it alive out of the prep phase.
Yep.
He can have the ability to put those new jammers down without worrying about paying the ultimate price.
So they won that round as well, so this extra layer might just be enough for an absolutely dominant performance from Soon TM. And if they do win this one, of course, we have match point and relegation point, as you referenced earlier, which is very daunting for Ronan. They have to be thinking to themselves that they need to make changes now or never.
And there's some very good teams in North American Challenger League. And
yeah.
We used to be in a phase where, you know, North American Challenger League, especially of all the Challenger Leagues, wouldn't always put up the best opposition. You usually have, you know, maybe one team would get relegated at absolute most, but I think we're now in a stage where North American Challenger League is very much on the ascendancy. There's a number of teams that will all be competing. Bigger orgs are starting to get invested. Teams are getting better, and this is a time when you cannot be taking these gambles against teams in Challenger League because there isn't that much of a gap between 7th and 8th in Pro League, 1st and 2nd Challenger.
Yeah, wow. Coordination to push Crazy off the mirror window. I believe that was a grenade from below or a lifeline from below, followed up by a firebolt at the same time. But Crazy manages to get away with his life as an EE1D pops. That's going to force the defenders to stand still, but no capitalization at all from Ronan. All they've managed to do is take control over Meeting Hall, which, you know, at half the round already expired isn't exactly a lot.
No, it still looked like he has the ADS. The mute jammer has been taken out, but the ADS is still there available for him. But no, the mute jammer's there as well. It's obscured very briefly. 9line finally finds his very first kill. And if we can give a quick round of applause here, that took him 12 rounds from my map to be able to get on the board. And that's the Thermite taking out the Mira. So Ronan has a numbers advantage and just over a minute left to go. So Soon TM once again finds himself at a 4v5.
But they do have the positional advantage as well as the time advantage. As Crazy breaks his own window, Yellow will go down, and my man gets one out of town. But Billboard, what an angle to refrag, disabling that attic player. So that man advantage has been lost and is extended actually into the direction of Soon TM, the opposite team now, who are anchoring fairly well. Now there is still a Lion, and I believe he has at least one EE1D. So might be able to use that to pivot this round back in his team's favor, but he's contesting Benji all the way downstairs with only 30 seconds.
All Benji needs to do is just hold him up and make it so that Lion has to make the choice of, do I potentially risk a flank, or do I potentially burn a lot of time and just try to get the Jaeger done? 9line was creeping up towards the closet, and if he goes to crouch his way in, he's going to be in trouble. He'll get smoked off anyways. There's no push for him. Bosco sees the Lion and can't move. Gives himself away for just a second, but he's in a position where there's a potential mute jammer hiding him. Speaking of mute, it's my man who will get that final kill, and we will be on match point. And yes, avoiding relegation point, as we'll call it, because I think relegation point, probably, I thought after I said it, relegation point would be like when you're actually in relegations, you could potentially be relegated. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It works in this context. We'll say that.
So soon TM wins upstairs, and take a look. Ronin will finally break out of their laundry room funk, and they will go up to Kids Dorms and Dorms main hall, which is what Ronin should have done 2 rounds ago, but now they'll have a chance to do it. They will, however, be facing defeat when they finally correct the mistake.
Last round, we gave a round of applause to 9line for his very first kill in this match. This round, I have to give a round of applause, in all sincerity, to Ronin for actually mixing it up and going to the other bomb site. Now, it took them 2 losses downstairs to realize they needed to make that change. And, you know, for all we know, it's not going to let them win, but at the same time, they did make the change. Some other teams would be, well, they wouldn't. They wouldn't commit to that. They would just stay with what they've got, and it would cost them oh so dearly.
I mean, it's a surprise in general to see a team favor the downstairs at this point, because it has been so uncommon. It's like Clubhouse. It's like going to bar when you have the opportunity to go to basement.
Although, I mean, to be completely fair on that point, we've been having a lot of teams struggle to defend the basement of Clubhouse.
They've been struggling to defend everything on Clubhouse.
Clubhouse is hard, man. Yeah. It is hard in this meta.
You know what
I know exactly what you meant. And no, you're right. You're absolutely right. Spawn peak is being read here for Bosco, but just inches away there. Talon will be able to rotate off of it. Gurmy, though, did get cookies, so I'm guessing that's some other spawn peak somewhere. Yeah, he ran out. He jumped out the window at the bottom of White Stairs. No, he didn't. I'm completely incorrect.
He was playing down there earlier. Could have been spawn peeking. Could have potentially been going for a late Valkyrie cam throw.
Maybe
Not
that,
entirely certain. Weren't able to see it, but you can't lose somebody this early when you're at a point like this.
Yeah.
Talon, though, will get Bosco. Like I said,
that's huge.
A bit delayed. Not only is it huge because you've taken out one of the entry fraggers, but also inarguably the best player for Soon TM so far this game. The man will, though, miss his grenade, and that will allow the Mira of 9line to stay alive longer than maybe my man had expected. Though Gurmy gets kill number 2 on yellow as Talon takes out my man and Crazy. Eliminating Talon will mean that it is 3v2 in favor of Soon TM. Just Billboard and 9line left. Well, it's looking to be a lot of work for 9line, who only has 1 kill so far in this matchup, and then Billboard as the smoke.
But they do have the positions, at least. If anything, 9line and Billboard have the positions, but you are going to have to see 9line get at least 1 kill in this round in order for it not to go decisively in favor of Soon TM. Billboard's using 2 gas canisters already in this round with 1 minute and 20 seconds left. There isn't much time delay, and that's the 3rd. Interesting use of the gadgets there from Billboard. That will cost him in the long run, and it's not going to actually matter as Crazy gets him on a long through the west window. Absolute domination here for Soon TM. It looks like unless 9line on 1 HP can get 3 kills, it will be a win for Soon TM. And yes, there it is. Benji finishes off 9line. That's it. That's all she wrote. GG's come out in the chat, and a 5-1 for Soon TM. So the rotation upstairs just didn't change it.
They did look better than they looked downstairs.
A little bit.
In their defense. So Bosco will be your MVP of both matches. You can see swinging away at Journey's end, and they will live to see another day. However, for Ronin, their season is done. So the next time we will see Ronin will be sometime in a month or so, when they will be facing off in relegations to see if they can hold on to their spot in Pro League. But for Soon TM, who may or may not have an org announcement. Soon TM. They'll be playing off against Space Station Gaming in a very exciting rematch. So a little unfortunate if you're Soon TM, you end up in troubling circumstances with your org, end up orgless at this point. You have to compete in Pro League last minute under, I guess, on your own, and you managed to pull out a win, and a pretty convincing win as well over Rona.
It's got to feel really good to be able to get that win. That's for sure. Now, the one thing I want to touch about is Ronan's communication and coordination there seemed to be out the window, especially on that last round. We had a couple instances where there would be 2 people watching the same exact, 3 people even watching the same exact angle. Talon in kitchen, I believe the Mira above, watching the doorway into kitchen, and then somebody playing in showers, looking in towards kitchen as well. And there are multiple angles that need to be held there, but they're all holding the same one. That's nothing but miscommunication. That's a misunderstanding of what your teammates are doing. And that's inexperience and lack of synergy with each other.
And the fact that they said that they were going to try something completely different. They were going to, Talon being more comfortable with an IGL role, Billboard, who had been somebody who had been doing some IGLing, I know, and had been dealing with a lot of their strats. And essentially you throw the baby out with the bathwater and you say, let's start fresh. And for Ronan, this is going to be, let's look ahead. You have a long time to reconsider all of the changes you've made and make the right changes, if you feel some of them were wrong, to right that proverbial ship. With that said, though, we are all done with Playday number 3 for North America. So on behalf of all of our talent here, and both Emzo and Milos, as well as our production, thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll be back in about 48 hours' time, give or take, for Latin America. Thank you so much. Enjoy your morning, afternoon, or evening. Take care.
Bye.
Located by attackers. Attackers are activating the